Your other companion has since left the town. Thankfully, it was only one adventure, so it's not like it's a big deal. Like, oh no, our best friend just left for no reason. Yeah. So he went off and did his own. You have heard a few additional rumors, things that um, might pique your interest, but nothing that's, most of the stuff is like, I think somebody, it's more the local stuff. It's like, I think somebody's stealing my sheep. It's just, and none of it's particularly interesting, and none of it is really like, they're not offering the kind of money that would be worth like, you all working together. So you're all just kind of like, relaxing, sort of just trying to find out, what your next step might be. Um, I assume you guys have been spending some time together, getting to know each other a little better, um, healing a little bit, recovering from the fight. So it's probably been, 4 maybe 5 days since you guys returned back, and one morning, as you're sort of, waking up and going about your business in the morning, you start to hear a bit of noise and commotion outside of the inn that you're staying. Y'all kind of just kind of peek your head out. I mean, it's nothing like, you guys don't really live here, so you don't really know what's going on, and you don't really know too well. So you're not like particularly concerned that it's somebody that you might uh, be close to. But you hear people running around and making some noise. And as you sort of peek out and see what's happening, you see a couple of people dragging this other person, looking quite battered, very bloodied. It appears to be a human man, and they're sort of dragging him through the front gate, just the front entrances of to the town.
Is this like guards dragging him or just random town people?
At this point, it just looks like um, just random people. Um, and you can see that he has a sort of a dark, uh, blood-soaked cloak on, um, and he seems to be falling in and out of consciousness, where he's not like completely out. He's like moving his head a little bit, and it looks like he might be trying to say something, and then his head drops. Um, and you see that they're actually dragging him to the inn that you guys have been staying at. But as he gets closer, you guys kind of step aside, and you can see a little closer that you can see that he's very, very hurt, and you can see that he is missing his left hand, and he's got what appear to be very crudely made arrows that are sticking out of his legs and his torso. He also has a foot wound that is one of the most disgusting, horrible wounds you've ever seen. And you can see some of the townsfolk are trying to come to his aid, getting bandages, trying to clean him up as best they can, since there are no, um, magical healers or clerics or anything like that. Um,
Eh,
but you can,
can I like approach them a little bit?
yeah,
Because they're like dragging him, right? Like I'm assuming he's being like literally his wounds are being dragged through the dirt and shit.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll say at this point he's probably been taken into a room, but
Okay.
you
Okay.
guys
Okay.
gather the
All right. Well, yeah, I just as they're walking by or something, I just what did this man do?
nobody knows. Nobody knows who this guy is.
Oh, okay. So it's not like a punishment that they gave to him. It's like they found him.
No, yeah, they found him at the, from best you can tell, like what they said is they just found he wandered into the town, and everybody saw him and sort of ran to grab a hold of him, but nobody actually knows who he is. And you can see what probably shortly after he gets put into a room, the local, I, I guess you could say doctor, medical professional, starts coming in, and you can has a list and like glass rattling on the inside, carrying some like herbs, and pretty much for the rest of the evening, you know, the doctor you find says that he has a really bad fever, but he just, you know, he's done what he just hopes that the fever breaks, and if he survives the night, he might be okay. Um, but you can hear um, over the next few hours the man keeps screaming as if he's, for some of you, you would recognize as if he's in some sort of battle. He's screaming names that you don't know. He's pointing out archers. Um, but yeah, it appears that he is uh, reliving something in his fever dream.
It may be best to at least let him come to his senses before we try and gain any information.
I do not think he would want to see me when he wakes up, so perhaps if one of you wish to talk.
Well, I can try asking him something if you all fill me in what you want to ask. I've got some questions. You all can have some questions.
Matt, as I'm like from a kind of out there tribe, I'm assuming the arrows didn't look like anything I'm familiar with, but can I tell they're like arrows from not civilized people?
Do a survival check, I guess.
Nope.
I would say that you don't notice them, like it doesn't. You're not like, oh, a this tribe made this, or this, you know, monster made this, or whatever. They just look like they're pretty badly made arrows. You recognize that much from just
Okay.
being around them, that they just don't look like they've been made very well.
Could we? Is there anyone around for us to speak to?
I mean, the innkeeper would be there.
Excuse me. Could I ask you? Do you have any tribes or any groups in the area who would attack people?
Bandits on the road, I suppose, but I mean, we're nothing. Nothing that I can think of in particular. No.
I believe Bendis would most likely kill, not leave him wounded. Is
So,
he going to be staying here overnight?
and the innkeeper looks kind of annoyed by the question. He's like, I suppose so. Nobody asked me about it, but he's in there now.
I'll pull out a piece of gold and put it on the counter and say, I will pay for him. We need to speak with him in the morning.
Oh,
And then I'll just kind of go wherever we were all kind of congregating and sit back down. Just leave it. You could tell, like, when Bjorn saw him, it was kind of reliving the whole what he had just gone through, like being extremely injured and stuff. So he's kind of just sitting at the table drinking.
Yeah, Lena goes and joins him and is like, it almost seemed like he was in some sort of large battle, not just bandits or something.
It is possible, but you're from the cities here, yes?
Oh, no, I'm not actually from the cities around here. I'm from north. And she kind of points in a random direction.
Are there any villages or peoples that are warring with each other around here?
I'm not too sure. Is that something Lena would know?
I mean, you would know enough that you hadn't heard anything like that now.
Yeah. She'd be like, I'm not too sure. I don't think so.
Was this guy like an old man, or like were we able to ascertain like if he was like any sort of age range?
I mean, you would probably guess. Not, you wouldn't consider him old, but it'd
Okay.
be hard to
So
pinpoint.
it's not
exactly.
like a 90-year-old who's reliving war stories.
No, you would assume
Okay.
probably between 20 and 40.
Okay. Well, perhaps he is military, maybe some sort of trainer.
It's possible. I mean, we are relatively close to Tester almost.
You and he and I'll like nod my head towards Sorn. And have you heard anything of larger battles or feuds between people?
On the surface, no. We have our own issues underground.
Same where I come from.
But we are in a situation where we may have to wait until he regains his senses before we go any further.
The main worry for me is if he dies before we get to ask. Perhaps a few questions now would not be the worst thing.
Well, if he's awake, I'm not sure if he would be in that state.
You could check on him if you want.
And Bjorn will walk over towards the room and kind of look at both of them and say, perhaps me and him should wait out here.
Well, okay. And Lena opens the door and sticks her head in.
As you see him, he's appears to be asleep. But you notice that based on the wounds that you had seen previously, which were quite severe, they seem to be healing unusually quickly.
Alright, she gets curious and steps further inside to, I guess, give him a quick once over.
All right, do a medicine check and then do an intelligence check. So, with the medicine check, you recognize that he is healing faster than any traditional means that you're aware of. But with your intelligence check, you really don't know what it is.
Okay, she's kind of creeps backward, steps out of the room, glances at Soren, is like, he's healing rather fast. I'm not entirely sure why, though. It might be a magic thing. She kind of tilts her head.
Well,
You guys need to come up with a code word for magic.
yeah, you can't just keep going around shouting, magic! If you
I think it might be
wish-
peanut butter.
Yeah. I could read my novel for 10 minutes, if that would be okay.
Okay.
Bjorn kind of just looks at the two confused. If he's healing, that's a good thing, yes? Why worry about it?
The way he is healing may cause panic or bring unwanted attention.
We had healers in my tribe that would be able to help you very quickly. I don't see it's good.
I wouldn't say that out loud to many people, Bjorn.
Yes, outside of your tribes, it's actually things that are unnatural are frowned upon very heavily.
Kind of just looks a little bit confused, but nods and understands.
Well, I will sit in a corner with my novel and ritually cast Detect Magic.
Okay.
And I'll head back over to the room. Is something magical currently happening with his body?
You notice he appears to be wearing a ring on his only hand, his right hand, that is magical.
Could I inspect the ring?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have identify, so it's like, can I figure it out? Like, if what runes it has? Would it give me an idea?
I mean, from what you can tell, it looks like a solid silver ring, and it is emanating magic, but you don't really know anything about it.
Could I attempt to slip it off his hand?
Sure. Do a sleight of hand check, I guess.
Bjorn is going to kind of look at Lena and say, is he stealing from the wounded man?
Maybe?
And Bjorn's going to kind of just, not like walk in, but just approach and kind of stand inside the door and watch him very carefully.
I just imagine Lena like crouched down to see as well.
Does he wake up when I take his ring?
He doesn't wake up, but with the 11, you actually it appears to be kind of stuck on his finger, and you're afraid to pull too hard. But in addition to that, as you got closer to grab hold of the ring, you noticed that he has a creepy baby hand that appears to be growing where his left hand had been severed. So he has this tiny little hand that appears to be growing out of the stump on his wrist, and it's very disturbing looking. And you kind of just step back after you we're gonna take the ring. It got a little stuck, and then you saw the baby hand, and you're like, oh well, okay.
Well,
Something's
I'm going to
happening.
take a step out of that room and close the door.
Did you steal the thing?
No, I was going to take it so I could maybe identify the object, but he seems to be regenerating a lost hand.
That's not possible. Is it? Is it a novel thing?
In some way, yes, but not necessarily from my type of novel.
Would I have ever seen any sort of healers in my tribe like regrow missing any things like that with nature magic?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't think you would, no.
I don't know if they were that powerful for that kind of regeneration or not.
Well, your characters won't know this, but I'll just tell you all in case you just want to look it up or whatever. But he's wearing a ring of regeneration.
Okay.
And that I believe that would be more of arcane.
Okay. Yours going to look at them and say, well, I think we have two options. We go wake him and ask him questions, or we go speak to the woman who was helping him.
Well, we could talk to the woman first.
Yes, I guess give him another 30 minutes to heal, and then at that point, hopefully, we'll be able to break him up and ask questions.
And do we mention baby hand to woman? Because she must be one who did it, yes?
I guess it depends on what the woman says, like if she knows him or not.
Well, it seems that his condition may be caused by his sentimental ring.
He ring grow hand?
there are certain things that can be explained through certain methods, shall we say.
Novel stuff.
Yes.
Bjorn kind of just shakes his head and says, I let you two talk. I just listen.
So there's a good chance that the woman who brought him in may not know of the ring's properties and just looked to help somebody.
I suppose we talk to see where she found him, or if she knows, take it from.
So watch, make sure he does not leave before you ask him questions.
That might be a good idea, considering how quickly he's getting better.
I can sit and wait with him, or I can come with you and we... Is there anyone in the bar that kind of looked like they could stop someone from leaving if they wanted to?
At this point, it's actually getting relatively late in the evening. The only people that are here are pretty much the people that like to drink, and nobody that it looks like they're particularly adventurous or strong.
I'm gonna approach the bartender real quick and just say, "You, who was person who helped the injured man?"
Well, there were a few people who were.
The one who came and helped him, medicine woman.
Oh, Doctor Kara, I suppose. I don't know that I saw her, but I assume that's who you're talking about.
Do you know where she is living?
She lives a couple of streets over. Probably there at this time of night, but not exactly polite to go knocking on people's door around this time.
If it is, if this man in room tries to leave, I'll put another piece of gold down and say, you make sure someone to come tell me, and I can come to him.
Sure.
I'll put it down and just slide it across the table and just walk back to them and say, I think I have agreement with man who runs place.
Well, that sounds good.
And I'll tell them where he said she lived a couple blocks away.
Yeah, he gave better directions than I did, but
Yeah.
Suppose let's head over and see if we can ask some questions.
He said something about not being polite, but I don't think she minds. She helped people.
Not being polite, and she kind of looks out the window and is like, "Wait, what time is it?"
it's probably about 10:30 in the evening at this point.
She might be sleeping. We might want to wait until.
Speak. Bjorn's just going to walk back towards his room, open up the door, and kind of just walk in. Not like being extremely loud, but not trying to be quiet. And just once the other two are in with me, I kind of just look at him and poke him a little bit. Hey, sir, you wake up, and I just kind of keep poking him.
He does not wake.
I'm going to walk to the foot of his bed, grab it, lift it up like 5 inches, and drop it.
It makes a pretty loud noise. He sort of like slumps over, like off his arm hangs off the side of the bed, but he doesn't wake up.
Lena puts the arm back onto the bed.
Yes, unfortunately, this may be caused by the stress of the injury. He may just need to sleep it off.
So we tie him here so he cannot leave before we ask him in the morning.
No, we just leave and hope your promise with the bartender holds?
Well, I only require 4 hours in a trance. I could stay in the room with him.
If you feel safe doing so.
I'll just point out where. I mean, I'm sure we all know where each other's rooms are. I say, anything happen, you can come and wake me too. I can be quick.
Yes, me as well.
I'll keep that in mind.
And then in that case, Bjorn will just head off to pass the hell out.
Yep, same with me.
Right? So probably it's still it's actually a little bit later into the morning, not mid morning. You actually are trancing in his room, I guess. You wouldn't have, if you chose to continue doing so. Obviously, you wouldn't need it, but he like the guy bolts up in the bed and just starts screaming. He's like, "No, where am I? Where are my friends? What happened? What's going on?" And he starts asking for Gale. And then, what day is it? How long? How did I get here?
Calm yourself. You were brought in injured.
What day is it?
I'd tell him
Yeah,
what day
you tell
it
the
is.
day. Yeah,
Yeah.
And he tries to get up very slowly, and he's not very successful. And he kind of like falls back onto the bed and points over to a bag, and asks if you could give it to him.
If you are thinking of leaving, I would not recommend it in your current state. And I'll pass him the bag.
Okay. So did you want to grab the others as he's rummaging through his bag?
I'll just make a comment just as I'm leaving the room to get the others. I would be very careful with a ring like that.
He just kind of eyes you.
Yeah, I'll get the other two.
Bjorn will just kind of, when we get back, just find somewhere in the corner and just lean up against the wall and listen.
And Lena steps in, yawning, kind of rubbing her eyes.
So, what is your name, sir?
Sorry, my Discord was being stupid. So yeah, he introduces himself. Here, I'll type it here. His name is Terrence Vaughn. And he sort of looks at all of you there, and Soren, I assume who's closest to him at the moment.
Either myself or Lena.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he reaches into the bag and he pulls what appears to be a rather heavy looking bar of metal, appears to be made of gold, and he's sort of like holding it with a bit of difficulty, and he like hands it out to whoever's closest to him, whether it be Soren, and then he also has a small bag that appears to be making some clink. So he like holds that out and says, "Look, this is yours. You can just take it for for helping me." So he doesn't know that you guys didn't really do a whole lot to help him, but and he says, and the rest of this is yours if you want a job. And he empties the bag out, and there are 5 sort of large, oddly shaped coins. I guess Sorn and Lena, do an intelligence check or a history check, whichever one you might be better at. Bjorn, you probably wouldn't know this, so I'm not going to ask you to do it.
No.
Okay, so Sorn, you recognize what these are. They're actually called Tessrin moons. They're sort of crescent-shaped coins, which is why they look sort of look strange. But you would know that they are worth more in Testra if you were to use them there. But they're worth probably about 30 gold each in other places, but they're worth about 50 gold if you use them in Testra. And there's 5 of them there that he offers you for a job. I'll include the gold bar. It's a trade bar. It's used for like bartering and stuff like that. Based on its size, it's probably worth about 250 gold.
That's a
One of
lot
the
of
things that you
money.
notice with an intelligence check of 20 is stamped onto the gold bar itself is what appears to be a raven with like a couple of crossing scythes behind it. You don't recognize the symbol, but it's pressed into the bar, so you do notice it.
As he's handing this stuff out, can I get a look at his hand?
Yeah.
Is it like, does he have 2 matching hands now?
No, the hand is slightly less disturbing now. It's not quite the little, doll baby hand anymore, but it's still not a fully sized hand.
Okay.
And it sort of goes on to explain this job that roughly a day or so northwest of here. So if you're looking on the map, roughly in this general area, he tells you that you'd see a small little house, not really even a house, just sort of like a hovel that's built into this sort of like natural outcropping of rock, which I was going to put on the map and then didn't. But it's a little bit of rock. I mean, it's not like it's a mountain or anything, but there's just sort of like this mound, sort of this hilly area with some outcropping of rock, and there's a small road that leads past this place that farmers tend to use. It's not like a major trade route, but it's the people that work out in the area out here that do the farming and things like that. They use this road quite often to bring in their goods to the main road. So it's not like, so if he basically telling you if you follow this road, it's pretty easy to spot. And it's this particular outcropping of rock it looks like it's on its own. So it's very, very easy to see. And he tells you that inside of this house is a girl. He tells you that her name is unimportant, but she is a half elf with red hair, and he needs you to protect her at all costs. However, you need to stay hidden from her no matter what. She can't know that you're there, but you have to protect her. And he says, but time is of the essence, so you have to agree to this now because she's going to need this protection.
And this
What's
is
her to you?
Gale.
He looks a little bit shocked that you said that name, but no, it's not. It's not Gale.
What's her to you?
My employer has interest in her.
Are you a soldier?
No.
When you were sleeping in with fever, you were talking military speech, pointing out things and giving orders.
Look, if you agree to do this, I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
Bjorn kind of looks at the other two and motions his head like to walk outside for 1 second and just says, "Give 1 moment, yes?"
And he just sort of nods, but you can tell that he's getting impatient.
And if the other two come outside with me, Bjorn says, I will agree to do, but I want to make sure his boss no want to hurt girl.
I do agree with that. I want to know who his boss is in general.
Well, considering that gold bar is worth 200 gold, and those funny shaped crescent coins are worth 30 throughout the country and 50 in the capital, he's offering quite a lot of money to secretly watch over somebody.
Yes, but as long as as long as no harm come to girl from whoever pay him, I'm okay.
Well, we can ask who his employer is, and that we can make that the condition of accepting the job.
I can make
Oh, no, I don't think that's necessary.
options, but okay, you two continue talking. I just wanted to discuss first.
Yeah, great discussion. Very good idea.
Yes, and I'll just kind of walk back in with like a little smile on my face, like I did something good.
So, our larger friend here agrees that we should take the job, but we would like to know who your employer is.
I've never met the guy. Just know that his name is Mr. Grayson.
Is he good man?
He always fills his debts and payments. I know that much.
Is he of Tesra?
He that's where he is as far as I know, yeah.
You said Mr. Grayson?
Yes.
He does not wish harm for the girl, no? That it is not about him getting her before someone else does.
No, it's and he you can tell that he it's almost like you were actually everybody do an insight check real quick just for fun.
I'm great at these.
All right. So Soren and Lena, you don't get the idea that he is um I mean you all believe that he's telling the truth, but you're a little bit wary as to whether or not he believes what he's telling you, and so he goes on to explain what's going on.
So it's kind of
Um,
like he's telling us what he was told, but he doesn't know how real it is.
right. And,
Okay.
and so he makes mention of the fact that like part of the job, um, that he had a group of people as well, and it was their original role to protect this girl, and they were ambushed. Um, and he goes into a little bit of detail, but not a lot, telling you that Gail was actually his fiance. Who there was another a man with him named Eric, and another named Thad. It was the four of them, and he believes that the rest of them were killed. And he doesn't really remember how he managed to escape, but he does remember that they were attacked by a sizable group of bandits, raiders, led by a particularly menacing looking leader of sorts, who was commanding everybody to do things.
Was he an elf?
He wasn't sure,
Okay.
but what he was told as well, and this he's convincing. Whether or not he believes it or not, he seems to be all in on what he's about to say, which is that he was told that this girl is um, part of a prophecy that Mr. Grayson explained, and that she is at a critical but rather dangerous junction in her life, and she has to be, but can't know that she's being protected, and that the the prophecy says that it has to be that way, and sometimes the prophecy needs, a helping hand. Um, he goes on to explain that the whole purpose of all of this is that she's staying in this house, and the danger that she's in at the moment is a relatively minor thing, but beneath and behind the house in this rocky outcropping, there are tunnels that lead to, that kobolds have made, and these kobolds, according to the prophecy, are going to appear and attack her. But the prophecy also says that she is the one that has to defend herself. And this will be the moment that she decides to move on to greater things in the future. And so Mr. Grayson hired these people to ensure that she does this, that she believes that she defeated the kobolds and then takes the next step towards her destiny. And so that's what Mr. Grayson is trying to do. He's not trying to harm her. He's trying to make sure that she takes the next step towards what he believes to fulfill this prophecy that he believes she is a part of.
Would I have any knowledge of kobolds? Like, would I have ever met any? And like, I don't know if they're up in the mountains where I'm from.
I would say you would know what they are. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how you may have seen a few. Soren wouldn't be very familiar with them. They are subterranean creatures.
I do not see harm in doing this for a girl if it is supposed to be. Prophecies are very, very important.
I don't mind helping out for the gold. Although I admit I don't believe in prophecies myself.
Well,
I'm not sure I did either, but Mr. Grayson's pretty convincing. He believes that she's going to be, a force for good as long as she survives this.
So, do we go into Kobold home and kill most of them and leave weak ones for her to kill? Or I do not understand how we do this without her knowing.
Well, that's up to you guys to decide how you want to do it.
He immediately starts looking between Soren and Lena like, you two are the smart ones, and he's kind of just waiting.
Well, we could meet her, and when the kobolds appear, she could take a nap.
But if she has to defend self, she has to remember, yes?
She has to believe that she was the one who defeated them.
We could convince her that during her sleep, she managed to unconsciously drive them away.
I don't know if that seems rather risky.
I think we you say this is day away?
It should be.
If we have much time to discuss planning on our way there. Are you coming with us?
I'm in no shape to do so.
Right. Why are you not worried about your hand? And I'll point it out and just look at it and say, it was not there yesterday.
He just kind of puts his hand underneath like the blanket and doesn't say anything.
I thought the woman who came and helped you maybe had medicine for that.
He must have.
Hey. Okay, well, Lena and Soren, we go now, or do we need to prepare?
We could probably set off.
Yeah, I don't mind a little bit of night travel.
I mean, Bjorn literally probably carries everything he owns, being like a hammer and a backpack, so he's like already good to go. I'll look at the man and I'll say, I paid for your room for last night, but innkeep may be wanting more payment if you stay longer.
Fine.
And just so you know, if anything happens to a girl and you lie to me, I will come find you.
He just kind of chuckles like, all right. Just hurry.
Then yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys need to do to get ready. If you need to gather shit or if you wanted to buy other stuff, but I'm good. I mean, we could technically go to the lady who helped him and see if she has any healing bombs.
I think Lena's got enough healers kits.
Yeah, same. I have
I'm
one.
trying.
Shit with medicine, so I don't even. I'm not gonna be carrying one.
Lena is as well, but she's got enough for you and her, so.
Okay.
Yeah, plus we technically have a healing potion.
And did he pay us beforehand, or like, are we coming back afterwards?
You have to come back for it.
All right. The one last thing before we walk out. How long do we have to stay and keep her safe? Is it a couple of days, a week?
If the prophecy is true, it'll happen within the next day or so, which is why you need to hurry.
Okay. Well, then we will return.
All right, so you guys don't have anything to do, so you find that it's pretty easy. Following the directions that he gave, you pretty quickly find the path that the farmers use. But you notice, Bjorn, do a survival check. Wow, isn't that what
Yeah.
you're supposed to be good at? Barbarian?
Yeah. It is one of my things that I am proficient in. I just cannot roll well.
You all start to notice that there are along the road there are a few rocks and trees and bushes and things like that, and you can see that there are actually like what appears to be I mean, with a 5, it appears to be some like dark liquid splattered on everything. Like, is that blood? I don't know. I rolled a 5, but
Someone shit on trees.
but as you sort of in the distance, because this is a fairly open space, which is why the rocky sort of outcropping is pretty easy to spot. Not a whole lot of trees in this particular area, so you can see off in the distance the mound of rocks, and leading up to that, you can see what appear to be a bunch of like buzzards and crows, and you can even see what appear to be some wolves tearing at something.
Some wolves?
Yeah, there appear to be a couple wolves and or wild dogs. It's hard to tell from where the distance that you're at. But there are birds, crows, buzzards, scavengers.
How big is the thing that they're tearing at?
There appear to be multiple things.
Okay.
Again, it's difficult to tell. I mean, obviously, it's a dead creature or dead creatures of some kind, because I mean, obviously, you all recognize these are scavenging animals.
Without even really saying anything, Bjorn just starts walking over and like yelling at him, like whatever different language, but like whatever terms they would have used in this tribe to like get out, leave, and just like start trying to shoo them away. If like any of the wolves came at me, just kick them or something.
I mean, you know, the birds fly off pretty quickly. The wolves sort of stop and look for a minute before they sort of just slowly kind of walk off.
Yeah, Bjorn doesn't stop. He kind of just keeps walking straight at him, looking at him.
They don't attack. I mean, they do back off, but they don't run in fear or anything. You can tell that they're just sort of like circling around, just like waiting to see what you're gonna do, whether it's like take those and then, or if you'll leave and then they can go back to eating.
I mean, since I'm up there, I'll look and see if I can tell what the hell it is.
So as you guys get closer, you notice that the ground is covered in arrows. The arrows sticking in the ground, and the ground is also appears to have been scorched by fire. Um, and you find what appear to be the Terrence's party members. You find two male bodies and a female body as well. Um, they've been torn up pretty badly at this point by the wolves.
Lena audibly gasps.
Is there any like story on them that like looks like it could like be used to identify them?
Searching the body, you find a few things. You find about 42 silver pieces and 3 gold pieces between all the
I'll
bodies.
hand all that over to probably to Soren, since he seems to know the most about currency since he knew the other stuff.
You notice a couple of broken bottles, and you do find what appears to be similar to the same potion that you have. So it looks like you found another healing potion. And there are a few others that looks like they're all in the same person. It looks like one of them was, I guess, the designated healer, so to speak. But there are a number of other broken potion bottles in the area. The woman has a small platinum ring that has a blue stone in it on her left hand. And the other man was 42 silver. The other man who did not have the healing potion, he actually appears to be wearing a gold chain, and it has a onyx pendant on it that is the same symbol as the trade gold. So it has the raven with the crossed sides on it.
I'll grab them and hand them to Lena and say, perhaps we bring these and show him that we've at least found the answer for him.
Yes.
And then Bjorn's going to start piling the bodies up and putting, like, he's starting to build, not like a full pyre, but just like scrap and stuff like that so he could burn the bodies.
Okay.
Like, no ceremony, nothing like that. Literally just grabbing the driest pieces of stuff I could find around to light a fire so they're not picked apart by animals.
Okay.
Once we do that, I kind of like, once he finishes, this is how you all say goodbye to your dead too, yes?
Normally we bury them. Or at least I bury them, and she looks over at Soren.
Unfortunately, we don't really care that much for the dead underneath. Sometimes we entomb them if they were very important, but generally the dead don't have a say.
Well, this is what I know, so it is what I do. It's not bad, no?
Oh, no, not bad at all. I mean, I'm trying to bury them at this point.
All right. Do one of you have fire? I do not have flint.
Oh, yes, I do. And,
Tinderbox.
Yep.
Oh, there. Oh shit! I always forget that stuff's in my backpack, even though it just says backpack in my items.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, just to say, the amount of time Bjorn would have been setting the bodies and getting wood, could I have cast Detect Magic as a ritual?
Yep.
Bodies and items off bodies?
Just the healing potion.
Just heal. Okay.
Then yeah, I will just start the fire. Go. and I guess we just continue on. Are we on like an actual road, or is it more like a path?
It's more of a path. It's not really
Okay.
like a
Like
set
we're
up
not
as a
seeing a
road.
ton of people.
No.
Okay. All right, yeah, because I didn't know if I was going to have to like explain like this is why we're setting bodies on fire.
Of course, I mean it is getting pretty late at this point, so people would be able to see the fire, but
As we're going, I'll look at them and both say, if time is very important, do we just keep going through night?
We might want to. I mean, I can stay up tonight without much worry for tomorrow, but I will be tired.
Well, I, in theory, only require 4 hours of sleep, so we could rest. If that would suit the rest of you.
I do not know for to. I would need to sleep, but I can either go or we can rest. I do not care. I just want to make sure we get there in time.
Yes, we might want to get there and rest when we're there.
That seems fair, if that's what the two of you wish.
Well, in that case, once the light starts going down, I'll pull out a torch and light it.
all right. So do another survival check to see if you can find your way in the dark, semi-dark.
Not terrible this time.
All right, yeah. So you are able to make it up towards the to the outcropping, and in the distance you can see that it's difficult to see from like the ground. It's not like it's a particularly like high mound of rocks. Sorry, I just started choking. The hovel is sort of set back a little bit though, and you can't really tell specifically in the dark where you are, but you do see what appears to be like a small amount of like candlelight up there, which is sort of like what you assume to be where this person is.
As we're approaching, I'll look to the other two and say, so do we have to stay completely away from women, or do we just not let her know that we help?
I would say staying completely away from her would be the safest bet.
As she says that, I'll kind of just stick the torch in the dirt and dye it out. We sleep here then.
Yep, it seems fine enough, I guess. Can take turns sleeping, taking watch.
I'll take first. I guess that's fine. Actually, yeah, I'll take first. It's it's pretty late right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll take first watch then.
I'll just trance for 4 hours.
Then you could have the third, or you could have the last watch since you guys gotta do that anyway.
All right. So, as far as the evening is concerned, you do hear wolves again. I'm assuming that they were the same ones, but nothing really comes near you. You do hear some rustling around outside of the hovel. I'm not sure exactly how close you guys are, so you don't get a whole lot of detail. But not really sure what's going on. But I mean, it doesn't sound like anything crazy. You just hear some like shuffling around. But in the morning, you guys actually are able to see the girl walking out of the hut, the hovel, the house. And you can see that she starts walking around. She's picking some berries from bushes, and you see that she's every now and then she's going to specific places, and she's bending down and she's looking at things. Everybody do intelligence check. Or Bjorn, you could do a survival check in this case.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah, you're all pretty confident that she's checking traps.
Okay.
You're not sure what their traps are for, whether they're like traps for game or whatever, but you all recognize what she's doing. You guys have set like rabbit traps and things like that, and so you pretty confident that that's what she's doing as she's walking around, getting food, checking traps.
Is she armed at all?
You can see that she is wearing pretty rough-looking clothes that appear to be a little bit too small for her, and she's carrying a elven short sword. And on her back, she has a small javelin, and she has a pretty well-worn bag that she's carrying with her as well.
So, what do we wish to do? Do we wish to approach and try to stay hidden? Do we wish to look for tunnels?
Well, if we do not wish to be seen, we could look for the tunnels and try to thin out the herd.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea to me. Although we would have to stick close to make sure nothing else, I guess, bandit-wise, happens to her.
And as you guys are sort of deciding what to do, you can see that she's sort of walked down off in the distance. So you kind of lost sight of her, but she appears to have left the general area and going out looking for food based on previously.
Did the guy tell us anything about where the tunnels were, or is he kind of just like around in the mountain or around in the stone and underneath her?
There's tunnels sort of that go underneath the house itself.
Okay.
There I didn't tell you this. I'll say that he told you this. There is an entrance to the caves below in the hovel itself.
Okay. If we want to go and take out some of Kobold, what if we kill too many and they no attack, and that way prophecy cannot be?
That is true. Again, we could always go with the option of introducing ourselves and say we are looking in the area if she has any hospitality. So if something happens while we are in the area, we can offer assistance without directly doing anything.
I won't stab me, make her feel like she saved me.
Kind of, yes. So we should probably follow her before she gets too far away.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Let's get her moving.
All right, so you'll have to do a survival check to see if you can track her, and stealth check to see if she doesn't see you.
Another 20. And I'm assuming we're all rolling stealth?
Yep.
I'm actually not terrible at this.
Yeah, pretty good. So you are able to catch up to her, and you see that she's doing exactly what you thought she was doing, which is she's gathering food. She probably does that for maybe an hour or so, and then makes her way back to the hovel. And you can see everybody do a perception check. So Bjorn, you kind of don't. It's not that you're just not specifically paying attention. But Soren and Lena, you both notice exactly how she's very meticulously and methodically walking through the outcropping of rocks. Like she's taking a path that is not the way you would go if you were just wanting to go straight to the house. So you are recognizing that you're sort of tracking her movements and she's avoiding the traps she has set. And Bjorn, you're just like, why is this idiot walking around? Like, why doesn't she just go to the
Does
house?
not know how to travel through mountains.
Yeah. Path of least resistance. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
She seems rather smart.
Yes, I think that she may have been expecting this more than, well, he thought.
Bjorn just looks confused. He goes, "She walk in circles. Why not just go?" And he just kind of shakes his head.
She is avoiding
Oh, you should
the
know
traps.
as well there. Yes, that's the one that I wanted to say. Do be careful when you walk up there, Bjorn, if we ever need to.
Nods. So she went back in the house now?
Yep.
Well, if there is entrance to Cobalt home underneath house, how do we know if Cobalt come?
I guess we hear noise.
Yes, but unfortunately, reacting to hearing noise is not always the best way to deal with a situation.
We can pretend to be how you say lost travel. We go asking for help and just happen to be there when Cobalt come.
And then make sure that she's the one to destroy them?
Or at the very least, to appear as the victor.
Well, that seems fine by me. I don't believe much in this prophecy or whatever.
Oh my god, Bjorn has such a bad idea that I don't want to do it, but I think I want to at the same time.
You want to step into a trap, don't you?
Yes, I do. I want to step into a trap so I'm hurt, and she thinks she's saving me. Bjorn kind of just looks at you and goes, I get her attention, and he's just going to walk up to one of the traps and put his foot in.
What? Oh. Oh dear.
All right. Here.
Roll 10d6.
It's like an exploding glyph one. I'll try to do it to where it's like looks like it's would be in a path that we're walking towards the house to come ask for directions. So I'll kind of try to do it like on that type of trajectory.
Right. So you step on what appears to be, it's essentially like a bear trap.
Mhm.
And you take 15 points of damage.
All right. And I will just let out a roar of a scream and cry of pain and just fall to the ground holding at my calf or wherever it clipped on.
Lena gasped. It's like, Bjorn, are you okay? Oh no, where on earth did these traps come from?
And as you see her sort of at first if you're looking towards the house, you can see her sort of like slowly kind of peek her head outside like of a window, and then she you see her open the door, and she has her sword in her hands, holding it with both hands out in front of her, but she doesn't come running towards you or anything. She's just sort of standing there, looking a little bit worried.
Can I try to pry it open again?
Yeah, do a strength check. Yeah, it's good.
All right. Yeah, I'll just do that and then let it lay. Like I'll let it reclose afterwards, but I'll just move my leg out of the way and kind of just roll away from it and just like start looking around and stuff like that. And when I see her, I say, like, can I tell she looked taken aback or scared?
Yeah, I think you probably could.
I'll put both my hands up and say, we are sorry, lost. We are lost. And I'll drop my maul off to my side.
And she looks to you, Lena, because she doesn't trust the gigantic hairy barbarian.
Oh, yes, we were heading the road to Kaima, but it appears like we may have taken a wrong turn. I'm not entirely sure. Unfortunately, my friend hit. My apologies for that. I hope we didn't want to catch.
Really saying anything? She's just suspiciously looking at. There's nothing.
Do you have any chips for him or bandages?
She shakes her head.
Okay. Kind of glances at Bjorn. Let me see if I've got something in your bag.
Is this a trap that Bjorn like would be familiar with you and to?
Yeah.
I'll put it back. Like I'm coming to ask, but we sorry. And then I will stand up and there's a little bit like did the
At least point us in the direction of it, and she points in the direction of where she knows.
And she points in the correct direction.
Thank you. Let's head on then, everyone. And she'll start slowly where the girl points and is trying to Bjorn as best she can.
A little bit, but he'll look at you two as you're starting to walk away, as we're starting to walk away, and go, "Hey, come up with plans."
Oh, I thought it was a very good plan, Bjorn.
Could I
Yes,
take my hood off and turn around and ask her a question? I'm sorry. As you can tell, we are new to the area. Would it be possible if we could maybe find somewhere to rest for an hour or two to recuperate and to head on? Please.
Make a persuasion.
Fuck.
She turns around and walks inside and closes the door.
I kind of whispered to Lena, "Is like, at least mine was in that."
Yes, yours did much better. At least she stayed and talked to us for a bit.
So, do we just go get out of sight and continue?
Yeah. Yes, that does seem like the best plan of action. Unfortunately, we can't be too close. Especially now that she knows our faces. If she sees us helping her or something, she's going to be quite suspicious.
Then I guess let's we'll go away a little bit, and are there like windows and stuff
Yep.
like that we could see into, or are they like
They're curtained up.
um uh, if I look around on like the like outcropping of stone and rocks and stuff, is there anywhere I can see that will give us like a good look into one of the windows?
Make a perception check. Yeah, I mean, there's a spot off to the east that looks like that you can look into the window there. I mean, you can't see anything in the window, but you would be like at a good angle.
I'll point it out and say perhaps if we watch from somewhere up higher, we will have better view if kobolds come into it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
So yeah, well, I guess take a little bit of a longer way around just to try to stay out of ice from like her to get. And then when we do, I'm gonna look to the other two and say, I just need to sit for a moment. If you can keep lookout, then I'm gonna attempt. I don't know if I'll finish it, but try to take a short rest once we're in a good spot to watch.
Oh, I've also got bandages for you.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you. And yeah, he'll sit down and attempt to take a short rest. Like I said, I don't know if it'll finish or not, but just start. So you could tell me when if I can roll hit dice.
And Lena will be watching over the house, trying to see if she sees or hears anything suspicious.
All right, do a perception check.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
My internet is behaving again.
Is it your internet or just Discord? Because
I don't know, I was getting red connection in about a 3000 ping.
Mike, I missed the end of what you just said.
Yeah.
I think it's Discord more than anything else.
Oh yeah, I think it is because I'm watching Discord
Yep.
right now and I can see it turning red.
Yep, mine just went red again.
Yeah, so Discord's crap. Surprise, surprise. It's the best. The two tools we use, Roll20 and Discord.
I mean, the one thing I will say is Discord is much better than Roll20 voice.
Well, this is true. This is true.
But,
I mean,
all right.
as much as I can play in Discord is still probably the best voice
Oh
server
yeah,
available.
absolutely. I mean, I remember using freaking Ventrilo back in like the early
Oh,
2000s,
yeah. Yep.
and
That's how you
having it
played
be
WoW,
like
man. World of Warcraft,
I mean,
Ventrilo.
that's how I played Ultima Online, which was years before WoW for me. But yeah, it was like you had every time you talked, it was like a 2-second delay before it would come through to everyone else.
But Ventrilo was free. If you wanted to, if you were real hardcore, you got TeamSpeak because
I mean, TeamSpeak, Roger Wilco, ICQ.
ICQ, yeah, good stuff. All right, so you with the 13, you don't really notice anything. In fact, I would say the only thing that you do notice is that it's pretty quiet.
Lena yawns. I admit I'm not the best at stakeouts.
Do we need to get closer?
Well, we could attempt to search the surrounding area for entrances.
Yeah, that seems like something to do that's not sitting here.
Bureau will nod.
We'll just have to be quiet so she doesn't hear us, I guess.
You will roll some stealth checks and investigation check.
How?
Did Bjorn finish his short rest, or is it still going on? Because if it's still going, I'll wait and let them do the investigation and stuff.
If you're going to participate in the stealth thing, I would say you wouldn't have finished it.
Yeah, then I'll just look at them and just kind of look down at my leg and say, I perhaps will not be very good at sneaking around with this, and I'll point to the wound.
Yeah, that's all right. Us two can go on.
Yeah,
We'll be right
apparently
back.
I can't stealth, but I can find things.
And it's like you guys like one was good at one, the other was good at the other. So you're all in all, with a crit fail and a crit succeed on stealth. We'll say you guys did okay, I guess. And then Soren, you do notice that back behind to the a little bit to the north of where you are, so the northeast of the hovel there, there looks like there may be a way to get down into the tunnels. It's partially blocked, so it's not like it's a obvious let's go walk through here.
But it is a possible entrance at the best, yeah. Well, there seems to be a possible entrance that's partially collapsed. We may have to wait for Bjorn to finish dealing with his leg.
Yeah, that sounds good by me. And I guess we head back to Bjorn to wait for his short rest to finish.
All right, so he went to go get water, and so while we're doing that, I'm gonna go grab a drink too. So we'll get like a couple minutes.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me now? I'm back.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, did the short rest finish?
Just waiting for Matt to get back. He's getting water
Okay.
too.
All right. So how's weather been for you guys?
Actually, it's been real good. Although it's supposed to get super rainy this weekend, so.
Has it gotten hot for you yet? Because I think you live like kind of in the same area as me, just like kind of straight up north.
Like the days get up to like 20, 24, but the mornings and evenings are still like 10-ish.
Oh, so like, all right, so like 75 from, yeah, like we haven't really had any days like over like 85 or something here, which would be about 30 almost for Celsius. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a bit cooler than normal for the year, but I do not mind. It's still very, very nice.
We usually don't get up to the 30s until like maybe July, August, so I think it's pretty normal for us.
So do you live like really far north?
Nope.
No?
I live in like a greater Toronto area.
Okay.
Which is actually south of some places in the United States.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're like kind of, you're pretty close to like upstate New York and stuff then.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got another posting for the game. And one of my favourite classes.
Barbarian?
Swashbuckling Rogue.
Yeah, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it's a little bit cooler than it normally is this time of year, but mainly it's just raining all the time, and it's the worst. We have already this is the most rain we've ever received as of January through June on record. Never rained this much ever.
Ugh.
The shit that's got to suck down in like the Midwest-ish area is like all like I've heard about the tornadoes lately that have been awful everywhere.
Yeah, there was a tornado in Dayton, which is like an hour and a half north of me. And then just like yesterday, there was an earthquake in Cleveland. which is like it's not close to me. I didn't feel any tremors or anything. Cleveland's about like 3.5 hours away, but
I remember it was like 6 or 7 years ago. We had the smallest earthquake possible ever. Like I think like 2 hours away from me. It was like the furthest it reached. So someone like put a picture up of like our lawn chair pushed over and said "Great Northeastern Earthquake of 2015" or whatever.
all right. So
Did my short rest finish?
sure.
All right. So I have to use this one. Yep. So I would have rolled a 2, but it's still a 10 anyway. And I'm not gonna. I'm back up to 1 under full, so I'm good.
And both of us would have come back and pointed out there is a possible entrance, but it requires some heavy lifting.
Bjorn kind of moves his neck side to side, and you hear a bunch of cracks and stuff. He goes, "I feel better. I think I can do this."
Perfect. I say let's get on our way.
All right. So just go ahead and just do a strength. You can get some of these rocks out.
If they are too big for me to move with my awful strength roll, I will start bashing them with my maul to make them smaller.
Oh, that's noisy. Don't do that.
All right, then I would not do that.
I mean, I don't know how strong Lena is, but could the weakling of Sorn help?
Yeah, you guys can.
I will attempt.
Nice.
We rolled a total of what 13 with 3 of us.
I have a -1.
Even if we did
Right now.
all right. So who is the leanest of you all? As in like thinnest, weighs the least.
Definitely not me.
150.
Lena's lighter than that.
So if you want to do, I'll say, if you want to do an acrobatic check, you can see if you can squeeze between the rocks you were able to move. If you want to do that. Yeah. So if you choose to, you are able to slide between the rocks and get through there.
Should I go in? I think I'll be able to get inside.
But what if kobolds find you alone?
I could lead them.
And then we still cannot get in. All right. Bjorn is. I want to know if I could try something. I guess. Can I just like punch like a random piece of stone to take like a point of damage or something and rage and try to move more rocks?
Do the fight club thing. I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Well, I mean, I don't think that Soren can even really
Yeah.
hurt me if he punched me. So that's why I figured. I mean, I would just punch a rock as hard as I can, take some damage, and try to rage and move more rocks.
You could do like maybe you could do like the. I'd say punching that probably wouldn't, but like if you want to like break your own finger, I would let you do that.
But before you do that,
Just like snap your pinky or something.
yeah, before we start breaking fingers, would you say force damage would be a good way to dislodge or damage rocks?
I don't think in this particular instance. I mean, this is basically just like an opening with heavy rocks sitting on top of it. So like hitting it with force is not necessarily going to do a whole lot. You want something like you want leverage to pull it out of the way rather than push it forward. Because best case scenario, if you forced it, you're just going to seal it even more than it is.
Or crush Lena.
Well, if that's the case, can I use lightning law? It doesn't have a weight. As long as I attack it, I can move it 10 feet.
Good question.
saving throw for rock.
Can the rock make a saving throw?
Let me see.
Yeah, because like I say, it doesn't have a. Obviously, it's a bit unrealistic, but at the same time, it doesn't say it has a weight, like upper weight limit. It's just I attach it, I pull it 10 feet.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, it doesn't even say you can't use that on like
Objects.
extremely large characters.
Yeah, that's just it. It just
Like,
says
imagine using that. A little wizard like using that shit on like a fucking giant or something, or a dragon.
I guess they assume that the DC 13 strength saving throw will stop that from happening, but I mean, still fail.
I mean, but how does what stats do a boulder have?
I guess it would just kind of be like a DC of the same that I would have for like moving it with strength.
I believe if we want to go strictly by the description, a rock is not a
We thought it was a Geodude.
If that's the case,
one
could,
creature of your choice.
yeah, well, could I do that while Bjorn is trying to shift it, like give him a form of leverage?
I mean, you might tear his arms off, but
I have one more idea. I'm gonna drop to my knee and start saying a little prayer to Uthgar and just like make a couple little hand gestures and then grab where the wound is in my leg and just squeeze as hard as I can. Get very, very angry and stand up to take another shot at the rocks.
sure.
Okay. So strength check with advantage. I will burn a rage. Get a fucking 12. Alright. Yep. Bjorn's gonna turn and I'm gonna turn and look at you and just say, please just kill me.
Yeah, we're having our door situation from Critical Role with a rock.
Yeah. Yeah. End me now, do it. I mean, if I'll look at me and say, can you look around and perhaps see where they would be coming from?
Like, go in there and see if I can see where they're coming from?
Or if you actually, can I stand up and could we still have like eyes on the house?
I mean, it's sort of above and behind you at this point.
All right. Can I just stand in a position where she could see me from and point towards the house and I just say, is any tunnel going this direction where I point?
Oh, yep, I can do that. And she'll slip inside and see if there's any tunnels that go in the direction of the house.
All right. So, as you make your way down, you see, you sort of drop down. You slide a little bit and kind of fall to the floor. And from what you can tell now, you couldn't tell when you were sort of like crawling through. It's not going to be impossible, but it's going to be difficult to get back in or get back out the way that you just came in, because this doesn't appear to have been ever designed as an entrance. This was more of just like a natural opening to the, because right now you're in what appears to be a bit of an open cave, and it is actually quite beautiful. And as you sort of, it was kind of a sloping tunnel that you were going down, so it didn't really you didn't really catch it right away, but then you sort of like slipped, and as you hit the floor and look up, the cave itself is probably about 15 feet in height, and there is a lot of moss all over the ground. You can see that there are there's a natural stone that has been carved into what appears to be sort of a water basin in the northern part of the cave that you're in, and there is like what appears to be spring water that is rolling down into and filling the basin, and you can hear that, and it's a very nice, pleasant sound. And you can also see that in other areas, it looks like the cave has been carved. You can see tool work. So this wasn't an entirely natural cave. and you can see that there somebody you would guess maybe this is where the girl is actually staying, even though the hovel appears to just be a home. Because there's a bed with a red blanket, there's a stool, there's a chair and table, and there are carved wooden bowls and cups that are also, on the tables, and you can see some like edible mushroom near the water basin. You can do a perception or investigation check, whichever you're better at. So as you're going around, you can see underneath the bed the bed's pushed back a little bit. And you can see that there appears to be a little hidden trap door underneath the bed. Pretty small. Other than that, one of the things that you notice off to the east of the cave, there does appear to be another tunnel that is leading, I guess you would be toward the house. The other thing you notice is that you're extremely exposed, and there doesn't appear to be a whole lot of places that you could hide at the moment. That's all you see.
Okay. She goes back towards where she entered and looks up at it. It's like, this was a larger drop than I thought it would be. I found a trap door, and there is tunnel heading towards the house. It seems like she's actually staying down here, perhaps.
Well, is there any rocks or debris you could move from your side while we'd attempt to try and open it again from this side?
Can she reach anything?
At this point, you slip down where you have to climb back up, which would be difficult because the walls are carved and flat.
It might be too hard to climb up. It's carved in here. It's not that
You could
natural.
probably move the table and climb on top of it if you wanted to do that.
If do not get too close, we try this. We do not want rock fall on you.
She steps back, kind of curious.
Yeah,
And
so,
I'll pull out my staff and wait for him to point out a good spot, and I'll try to use it as leverage.
yeah, so could I identify the best place to put the staff to act as leverage?
What's your staff made of?
It's the one that comes with Outlander. It's just it's like a staff is all it really says.
Or maybe I could wield the staff while Bjorn also attempts to lift. But first off, it's where's the best place to attempt to use leverage?
Do an intelligence check.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it would be like wood, but I have no idea. It isn't specified, at least.
Yeah, I mean, you can find what the best spot to at least the best spot that you can reach.
If that's the case, Bjorn, I'll use the staff if you wish to use your muscles. Hopefully we should be able to shift this rock.
I'll pull it off my back and hand it to him and just go and say, pull from here?
Yes, and on 3. 1, 2, 3.
And I will try.
Do you want me to give him advantage, or do you want me to actually roll that?
I'm trying to think about what a good.
I mean, I could roll to see if I give him advantage.
We'll say that you can give him advantage.
Me or him?
Sorry, everyone cut out then.
Yeah, roll a strength saving throw.
$15.
All right. So the staff is severely cracked at this point. So it is heavily damaged, but it doesn't break.
I'll just break it and throw it away.
Okay. So the rock doesn't move like completely out of the way, but enough for you to get down there.
I'll hold it up and let him go first, and then try to squeeze my way down afterwards.
Before you go, we might want to tie a rope up there or something. It's a bit hard to get back up.
Can I take a piece of the staff that was broken and jam it into a rock somewhere and tie a rope to it?
Sure, you can try.
Oh yeah, we have 50. I know myself. I have 50 feet of hemp.
Yeah, I do as well. Actually, do I have? What? All right, so
We have the same pack.
yeah, I'm just trying to make sure. I didn't know if I had it, if it came with like anything like pittons or anything. But yeah, can I just try to jam something in somewhere that will like tie a piece of rope to the wood and then jam it into rock somewhere that'll stick?
I can try.
Yeah.
It'd be difficult to say whether or not it's going to hold everybody's weight, but
I would let those two go up first, but yeah. So I'll attempt to. I'll attempt to. Actually, I'll pull a javelin off my back and do it with that, and stick a javelin into some rock somewhere.
okay.
So I will have 3 javelins now. Give it a little tug to make sure it's at least holding a little bit of weight, and then head down.
All right. So you guys don't. Lena's able to, sort of give you the fair warning that it's going to drop off. So you guys make it down pretty safely, and you see the same thing that she did.
Could I detect magic?
If you want to take the time to do so.
I would.
As he's doing that, can I like look around on the ground to see if there's any sort of tracks around?
You can do a survival check. Nope.
Can I rage survival, please? Like,
We are rolling so well.
oh my god. Well, as he's doing that thing, I'll look to Lena and say, I was thinking, perhaps if it comes to it, we tell her that kobolds heard trap and captured us when we leave.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea. If she sees us again.
Yes, I do not see a way where she does not see us, so I just worry to make sure she thinks she's here.
Perfect. Good idea.
You don't find anything.
And you said there was like carvings or like words in the area.
The walls are carved out so it doesn't seem natural, and there's a trapdoor under the bed.
Do a intelligence or history check, Sorn.
I mean, I also have comprehend languages.
No, it's not writing that you're looking for at the moment.
So was that history or intelligence? $11.
From what you have seen where you're from, this looks like dwarves were the ones that crafted this chamber. They have a distinctive way of carving that is carving rock underground that's different than the way that the elves do it. And so it's familiar enough to you that you recognize that. Not that it necessarily means anything, but you recognize that this was made by dwarves.
I can appreciate craftsmanship.
It's definitely more the furniture and the furnishings and everything definitely are more elvish, but the original creation of this place was by dwarves.
Well, this is a dwarven chamber.
If the house is above us, there is entrance.
Lena points out the tunnel that leads towards the house.
Yeah, so off to the eastern, or I'm sorry, to the west of where you would be standing, from where you came in, there is. So essentially, you drop down to the center of the room is the table and chairs, and off to the northern part of the where you would be looking would be that water basin. To your right would be the bed. To the left would be the tunnel leading back towards the house.
Do we wish to get closer to house, to in case other tunnels lead same place?
Wouldn't mind finding a better hiding spot. We're kind of out in the open right now. I wonder if we can hide in that trap door.
How dark is it down here?
It's pretty dark, but there are a few candles that are lit.
Okay, they are lit. All right. Do you wish to check trapdoor?
I guess we might as well. Lena will crouch beside the bed and kind of peer under it.
I'll lift the bed up.
Yeah, the door is not the trapdoor is not locked. You can see that the drop down is actually pretty shallow. It looks like you would from what you can tell, there's a drop down, and then there appears to be an opening that goes back towards the. It's almost like a tunnel under the tunnel, so it's going back the direction that the other tunnels are as well.
Oh, that's strange. They seem to run parallel to one another.
So towards the house as well?
Yes.
Perhaps this is entrance to house.
Perhaps. Shall we head down and maybe hide somewhere over there?
Do you want to go down first, or do you want to check down this tunnel here?
Here might be better, otherwise we might have some difficulty getting back up.
Does it look like I'd be able to fit down this trapdoor?
Not comfortably.
Okay. He'll look a little bit at you and say, perhaps this way first. If I go down, I may not get back up easy.
Okay.
It seems we'd turn into a mole man.
Kind of look at him a little bit weird and say, this is like where you were from?
Yes, I'm from underground.
I'm like looking through squinted eyes and say, very dark. And I'll look to Lena and say, do you need torch? And I'll look to Soren and offer him one as well.
No, I actually don't need a torch.
Yes, I have, or myself at the very least, have the ability to see in the dark.
Oh, yes. It seems to come from my elven blood.
Are you like elven looking at all, or are you kind of like, do you take more after the human side?
I'd say more human, but she's got slightly pointed ears.
Bjorn kind of just looks at them both and say, I can just follow you then. I do not need light.
All right. I suppose if we get in a battle, we'll get some kind of light going, though, for you.
He'll just nod and pull his hammer off his back and just like let them lead the way and try to stay behind him where he can somewhat see where he's going.
Lena pulls her shield out just in case.
Actually, thinking of that, when you do that, he'll tap you on the shoulder and say, you were worried about noise. Remember that thing, and he'll point towards your gun and say, very loud.
Oh, yes, of course.
All right. Give me a roll 20's being dumb.
I'll look to Soren too, and I'll say, Do your books make things like this? And I'll point to the gun.
As in the metal or as in the sound?
Uh, the weapon is magic, yes?
Oh, actually, no, this isn't magic. It's originally made by dwarfs.
Yes, it's more mechanical and alchemy than magic.
He looks like you just explained like quantum physics to him.
I shall show you when we get back to town. For now, it is not magic.
Right. He'll just nod and continue following.
I can't wait to get a couple of bowls and just start throwing ingredients together with a match.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, here we go. Some sulfur and
Okay. Oh my gosh. Don't know why Roll20 so bad.
well, the thing is, Discord started working properly, so now Roll20 is gonna fix it and start fucking up.
This, that.
I mean, how would it be any other way?
Well, what's funny is that Kaylin had actually shown this to me before. I'm using an add-on for Roll20, which actually makes it better. Which just goes to show how bad it is without the. This is better and it's still bad.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This.
I am looking forward to making a kobold shit their pants.
I mean, I probably haven't seen many or been around many of them, so I kind of just think of them as like these scrawny little things. And the entire time, Bjorn's been thinking, like, why the fuck does anyone need help being protected from these things?
Because there's lots of them.
All right. So who is walking first through the tunnel?
Lena.
Yeah,
And someone will be behind her.
I was complaining on taking up the back.
So everybody make a perception check. Bjorn, you'd be with this disadvantage.
Absolutely.
All right. So, as you're walking through, you notice that the walls are it looks like this is not a very humid cave. Like the wall, like in a lot of caves that you've been in, the walls appear to be a little wet, a little slimy. This place appears to be pretty dry. You notice that there are a few sort of best you can tell, they're like almost like kind of wide looking crack in the walls there. And as you're doing it, you hear the sound, and I'd say probably you all recognize it, but you don't have a whole lot of time to react to the sound of a crossbow, and hits you for 4 points of piercing damage.
Hits who?
Lena. She was in the front, right?
Yep.
Yep.
She
So
winces.
you just get a crossbow bolt in the shoulder, and then you hear a girl yelling out, "Why are you here?"
What?
Bjorn, without thinking, is there trapped by kobold?
Silence.
Would you be willing to allow us to explain?
And as you do that, you hear this cracking noise and sort of these snarls and stuff behind you. And this is not going to be representative of exactly the what it would look like in the what you'd actually be looking at, because this is going to be a much larger platform. But I wanted you to be able to see, just to give you an idea of like where everybody would be sort of standing around here, rather than just do the theater of the mind. We'll do, hey, look, here's some kobolds, and here's your actual.
Okay.
And then roll for initiative as the kobolds pop up behind you.
I can't select my token.
Yeah, okay. Yep, I see why.
Yeah, I can't select mine either.
Yeah. Because I moved your tokens and it didn't the new map didn't recognize that it was assigned to you, so I have to. Right.
Yep.
This.
Yay, none of us can roll for initiative. We're all going next week.
Hey, that's a good thing. That means we're gonna almost get killed, and this girl's gonna save us.
Yep.
And Robert, your token's working?
Yes.
All right. Hold up.
Look at that initiative.
They just get to go twice before we have a turn.
That would actually be fair. With the huge difference.
And I wasn't even like giving them like bonuses for like sneak attack, but they just.
Yeah.
Yep. So technically, I mean, if we set the order, I mean, she's gonna be here. Like Lena, you would be like it'd be more like that essentially.
Okay.
If you were in the back, and it's because they came up behind you. So obviously, this map is obviously a lot larger than the tunnel that you would be in. But let's see here, this guy will run up behind you, and because they have pack tactics, he will have advantage.
All right.
Okay, I don't
I'm
have
at
that
18.
and I don't have it set up right, so I actually roll it twice.
Well, I am refreshing my roll 20 quick because the music just stopped for me for no reason.
All right. So I rolled an 8 and then a 20.
Ooh.
So you take 5 points of piercing damage as it runs up behind you and then just like stabs you in the kidney with a dagger.
Can I do my best to try to play it up as much as possible? Like, oh my god!
Yeah, you can.
Could I assist you? Like, oh no, he's been injured. Save us!
All right, so this guy's turn. He's going to run up here, and he is going to. Actually, you know what? He's going to stay back, and he is going to use his sling and try.
Sure, I can put on a performance, but I can't do anything else.
I rolled a nat 1 and then a 12, so he misses you with his
All
sling.
right.
So Soren, you're up.
Is it just the two of them?
Yes.
I am going to grab a pinch of sand, and I'm going to attempt to put them both to sleep.
Okay.
So it'd go to the lowest hit point one first, then onto the other.
Yes, they're both.
Oh, that was a low roll. Wow.
Yeah, that was bad.
No ones or anything, but damn.
As where
Yep.
previous session, it's like a 27. Nope, you just
Yeah.
one off.
Yes, but these are kobolds. They're not tough.
Do
So
I
they're
not
both
put
asleep.
one out? Oh, they're both asleep. Jesus.
Yes.
Can Bjorn just like kind of like look surprised at him, and like he's just gonna start running towards this girl. Please help us, please.
Yes, you can do that. Is that your turn?
Yeah, I'm just running, like limping over as quickly as I can. I'll have dropped my weapon by one of them and just start limping over towards her, like trying to play it up as much as possible. Please, there were more before.
Oh, I forgot to roll for her actually.
I mean, I will say I did try and help sell it with that performance, if that helps.
Let's see. Ooh, not terrible.
I rolled a nat 20 on her initiative.
Hmm.
And she has a +0 to it initiative, so it's a 20. So she actually just goes right after the. She should have gone actually after the kobold, so after the second kobold, but Lena, what did you want to do?
Lena will just kind of be like, "Oh, I'm not that terribly good with this sword," and she kind of waves it around and is like, "Oh." She kind of wait to attack if any of the kobolds get too close to her, and they're both asleep, so they're not going to get that close to her.
Do a deception check. Wow.
Dude, if we're not good at anything else, we are great liars.
Exactly. It's like you can't move rocks, but man, you can trick a little girl into thinking.
Guys, we're going into the circus business.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, it's the kobold's turn, but they're asleep. What is do they have a thing that they can do?
Nope, unless someone hits them or wakes them up, they're asleep. For a minute.
All right. Well, she will. I guess she'll step over here and she'll take a shot with her crossbow.
Well, yeah, it's kind of weird because it would be disadvantage prone, but advantage asleep.
Yeah, so I'll just do a straight roll. And I'm not, I get it, but I also kind of don't like the disadvantage for ranged on prone enemies. I mean, it's like, well, it's on the ground, so I'm more likely to miss it. It's like, yeah, but it's not moving.
Yeah, it's a stationary target.
Right. So it's like, I mean, I guess if it's a kobold, it'd be hard to hit than like a giant. But I just feel like a giant that's laying on the ground is not going to be hard to hit.
Yeah, I still see it as like, if you're extremely far away, then yeah, I see it laying down as a hindrance because you still got to kind of hit it straight on. But if
Right.
you're like within 20 feet of it, you can still shoot it at an angle.
Yeah. Like where she is, like that's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, she killed it with.
Oh, that was so amazing. So much better than I would do.
Why is that? All right, Soren, it is your turn.
I'm going to subtly look at Bjorn and whisper, "Don't resist."
What would he do? I mean, I trust him enough that I wouldn't resist.
So run on your turn. You have to run away in terror.
Yeah, from you. So I'm gonna be running towards the kobold.
Well, technically, you'd be running towards her,
Oh, true.
which is a kind of away from the kobolds.
True. All right. Is there anything behind her or anything like that?
I mean, technically, she's probably like she's against the wall, and we'll say. I mean, here, let me.
That's the dumbest use of this spell I could think of.
Oh my God. Roll 20, please. Oh well, that's part of. Hey, look, there's grid lines.
Yay!
Oh. Screw it. She's basically against the wall of the tunnel. Because it's now trying to do the stupid dynamic lighting thing, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
all right, screw it.
So, all right. So she came from up this direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
So then I'll keep running up behind her and just again keep. There are more coming, please. And I'm gonna when I get behind her and she's not looking at me anymore. Can I just like take? I'll use. I mean, I'm a grungy barbarian. I'm gonna take my fingernails and just like try to scratch a like wound across my, like not full wound, but just scratch like so it'll start bleeding across my chest, looking like something got me.
I guess.
Yeah, and that'll be my turn.
Lena, it is your turn.
Lena will take a step back and be like, "Oh, you did so well with the first one. I don't know. Please help us." And that's it.
Kills that one too.
Are you gonna drop the fear once they're both dead, or am I just running?
It only lasts for one round.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right. So,
Oh, thank you for saving us. We got caught in their trap.
she kind of looks at you all suspiciously, but she's like, well. And she just kind of stops, like she's like kind of lost in thought. She's not really sure what to make of all this at this point.
Can I approach her a little bit and like try to whisper to her? I have nothing in my hands, no weapons, nothing like that. I'll just try to get as close as possible. I'll say, I told these two I can protect them on road. I'm not a very good fighter, though. I just needed the money.
Do a deception check. You guys just keep making it worse by like trying to keep continuing to lie to her.
Oh, there it is.
And she just kind of eyes you and says, "Well, I was told that I had to kill kobolds here, and that's done. So, since you're all so terrible at fighting, perhaps I should take you back."
Oh, that would be most appreciated.
Thank you very much. We couldn't have done this without your help.
Bjorn's just gonna keep his mouth shut and go pick up his maul.
And you can tell that she's getting a little bit skeptical of this at this point, but she sort of motions for you all to follow her.
Sad
And she
thing
takes
is, I
you.
have a 15 in deception, performance, and persuasion.
I mean, during the fight, you were all kind of convincing, but then afterwards, she's like, So, did you guys want to check the kobolds, or are you just going to leave?
I'm just gonna follow her.
Yep, she's in charge. She's the strongest one here.
So, she takes you back up, and there was a passageway that you guys didn't see, or that you would have seen had you gone into the hovel there. And there's a ladder that she takes you up, and she said, "You were going to Ornkaima?"
Yes, we were headed that way, and then it seems like we ended up in the kobold's trap, unfortunately. Rested a
right.
bit for our big guy to heal up, but apparently that wasn't a good idea.
Well, are you all fit to travel now?
Yes, I believe so. Luckily, I wasn't too injured. And then she looks back at Bjorn and is like, are you doing okay?
He doesn't say anything. He kind of just has his head down and nods a bit.
Oh, it seems like he's doing better.
All right. So, she, unless you specifically want to ask her anything or talk to her, she's pretty quiet as far as like the trip back. So I don't know if you wanted to ask her anything or try to talk to her on your way back, but
If you don't mind me asking, could we at least know your name?
Aaron.
Aaron. Oh, thank you very much, Aaron, for helping keeping us safe at the very least.
Bjorn kind of clears his throat real quick. He goes, what did you mean you were told kill kobolds here?
I had a vision that I was supposed to be here and kill kobolds. That's why I set all those traps.
He just kind of nods and says, I didn't know if it was job.
She just kind of looks at you like a little bit confused.
No, it seems like you're doing a grand job. You've caught our big friend here, and then you've also killed those two.
Everybody do a perception check on your way back.
Yeah, can we just take those second rolls, please?
Yeah, the second roll was really good. All right. You don't notice anything on your way back.
So, you say you had a vision? I'm afraid to ask due to it being a sensitive subject with those on the surface, but do you believe in the gods?
You can tell that she kind of gets a little wide-eyed.
Again, I mean no disrespect. It's clearly I'm not from
I
these
know.
parts.
I know Bjorn has asked about magic, but he hasn't asked about the gods yet. So he's gonna kind of look and say, "Where I come from, Uthgar is God."
Yes, and we have, well, most drow worship Lolith.
She just kind of shrugs, like, okay.
So is your vision related to someone you believe in, or just that you see visions? It's a bit strange to come to a hovel in the middle of nowhere to apparently fight kobolds.
She just kind of shrugs a little bit, like, I don't know any gods.
Do I believe her?
I can do an insight check.
Well, hot damn.
I'll pull the old Matt Mercer. She's hard to read. um, and it's the truth. I mean, you're even with that. I mean, you are 100% sure that you're not sure
Okay.
if she means it or not.
Have you been having visions for a long time, or just recently?
I've had them for most of my life. Most people called me crazy, but
And do these visions generally come true?
I mean, this is the first vision that I've ever had that sort of led me to do anything. Most of them are just things that I see, but don't really involve me directly.
Do you stay here now, or do you leave?
Not sure.
Matt, could I make an Arcana check to see if this is known as like a magical ability, is like a seer or some form of innate magical power?
Yep. I would say that you're aware of um, magical practitioners that you're more aware of things like divination as far as like magic is concerned. People that can, see the future and see things like that. It's not exactly what she's talking about, but it's not anything that you would if she says that she's having visions, you would be someone who wouldn't necessarily think, oh, this is a crazy person. Is it like you could think that it was possible? It's you would have known um, people with innate magic abilities. So in D&D terms, like sorcerers, people who have innate magical abilities that manifest themselves in many different ways. This wouldn't be like visions is not a thing that you would learn from a book, but it
Yeah.
is something that could possibly be an ability that somebody might have.
Where I am from, visions such as that are not considered those of a crazy person.
Where are you from?
I am from underground, clearly not from this part, but down south. Have you heard of the city of Felva Unalif?
No, I have not.
It's the Drow capital. If at some stage you wish to maybe look into this gift that you have, you could visit and maybe they can give you some more insight.
And she, again, still not trusting any of you, just kind of looks at you warily and kind of nods affirmatively.
I'm just going to click my fingers and make Dagda appear.
Okay. I don't think anybody's seen you do that.
Yeah, Lena's just staring like, wait a minute. I forgot you had a dog, but now you have a dog again.
Bjorn will probably let out a little bit of what the.
I thought you left him behind.
Yes, but luckily people with innate abilities can do wonderful things.
And she just kind of like, you can tell she looks a little bit nervous.
Everybody pulls a keg. What the fuck? No object permanence here.
Nope. Let's. Clearly, she has some form of magic, but doesn't quite understand it. So little bits like, "Oh, I can make a dog appear."
And she smiles a little bit, but then you can tell that she's like purposely trying to like, be cool and not, she just keeps walking and, going back towards the town.
Just don't be worried that you're alone. There are many who have gifts. It's something that can be taught.
And as soon as you cast the magic, the Testron army comes and kills you.
Yep, sounds about right.
Bjorn just stands back and points at him.
It was him. I just met this guy. All right, so you make your way back to the town, and are you gonna go and see Terrence, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, I guess Terrence, if it's good time of day.
All right. So, Erin kind of goes with you, but she doesn't. She does not go into the inn with you. She just kind of like tells you that she's gonna see if there's anything that she's gonna restock some of her supplies.
Thank you so much for leading us here.
She kind of nods and heads off to shop.
Well, that was a simple enough job.
As we're approaching the tavern, Bjorn will look to Lena and say, "You have necklace and ring still, yes?
Oh, yes, I do.
Not part of job, but might be nice for him."
Yeah, of course. I will definitely be handing these back to him.
All
On
right.
our way back to this town, did we see any sense of magic about her?
You nothing outwardly, no.
Okay.
So as you make your way to the inn, you see that Terrence is there, and he's sort of like he looks like he's recovering pretty well. His hand does appear to be fully back, but he does appear to be limping. He's got a bit of a makeshift crutch that he's using, Because remember he had that terrible foot injury that still seems to be hobbling him a little bit. And as he sees you guys, you can tell he gets a little bit excited, and he's like, "So,
Well,
did you?"
it seems like we did it. She defeated the kobolds. She helped us all the way over here.
And you can see as soon as you say that, his face drops. He's like, "Wait, what?"
Oh yes, we pretended that we were incapable, and
Captured by kobold.
yes, and then she led us over here to be, I guess, safe.
And you see that it's like this combination of like sadness and anger, and he's like, "What part of Don't Be Seen did you all not understand?"
Oh, she caught us.
She caught you.
Yes, unfortunately.
Where is she?
Oh, she's shopping or something.
You have to go. You have to go and get her, and you have to take her to Testra. You have to take her to Mr. Grayson immediately. She was not supposed. This is not how this was supposed to go.
She told us a vision, and this seems like what it went to her.
She shouldn't be here. He's the only one that's going to know what to do next. You have to take her to him.
Well, I guess trip to Testra now?
First, we have payment, yes?
The payment for the job that you failed.
You said she must kill kobold, fulfill prophecy. As far as she knows, she did.
And do not be seen.
Bjorn is going to stand up straight in front of him, like, looking rather agitated, and say, "So you no pay?"
And you can see that as you do that, he stands up, and everybody do a quick perception check. Bjorn, you're the only one who doesn't notice this because you're getting all angry and getting up. But as you sort of get up and say, "So you know, pay," like he sort of stands up straight and drops the crutch. And Soren in particular, but Lena, you also noticed that like there's this. It's almost a violet. It's quick, which is partially why Bjorn doesn't see it. But there's like a violet sort of glow that like emanates from his eyes very quickly. He doesn't say anything, but he's just standing up to you.
Bjorn, I think it's time to just sit back. Let's just go right or wrong, get this girl to Tesra.
Bjorn doesn't look at anyone else. He just looks at, staring at the guy and says, "We did job. We deserve money."
He reaches into his bag and he takes the gold bar and he throws it at you, Thorn, without taking his eyes off of Bjorn.
And once he has it, I'll say, "In the payments for next job, now we need to take her somewhere else."
Maybe we should have this discussion in private as a avid reader to another, good sir.
Let's call this completion of the job, making up for your failures. And you can keep the payment that you've already received.
That seems fine by me. Where will we find Mr. Grayson?
He's in the South Ward.
Any identifying features?
I've never met him.
No symbology, no nothing. Just go to the South Ward, ask for Mr. Grayson.
He tells you to. I wrote this down. Where did I put it? He's in the South Ward. He has an office that's in a large, dark building. He's on the 5th floor. And he tells you to look for 2 idiots that stand out front, harassing everybody who goes by.
Very well.
Okay.
And he stops and asks if you found anything regarding his associate.
Oh, yes, of course. And
And
she
starts doing that. Bjorn says nothing, and he looks at her.
We did find something, and she stares at Bjorn as she pulls out the necklace and ring. Unfortunately, we found their bodies.
And you can tell that it's more of a resignation. I mean, he assumed that they were dead, but this was just that confirmation. So he kind of, I appreciate it.
Of course. So unfortunately, we didn't have time to bury them, but we did cremate them.
He turns around and sits back on the bed and sort of like rolls the ring around in his fingers.
Well, I suppose it's time to head on out.
Yeah, Bjorn will turn around and walk out.
All right. So if you guys want to do an investigation check, I suppose, see if you can find Aaron again.
Okey-doke.
When we're walking away, I'm gonna look to Lena and say, "Why were you scared of man? He is not very intimidating."
He knows a lot of things from books.
Such as myself.
Yes.
And Matt, I know I didn't see it, but the violet eyes means they're like the mage hunters, right?
No, that is turquoise eyes.
Okay, turquoise.
And those, just as I mean, Bjorn would know this, but those guys, the Mordoon, their eyes don't flash. They're just always
Okay.
glowing turquoise. So they're
Okay.
very easy to spot.
Now that we're
If you,
out that
if you ever played Final Fantasy VII, think of the Mako eyes. That's
Mhm.
from the Mako reactors, like kind of like that.
just let's say now we're out of the slightly tense situation, would I be able to figure out what type of magic that is?
I mean, you would have. It would. I mean, arcane ability of some kind. You're not exactly sure. I mean, do an Arcana check real quick. Yeah, I mean, you're not 100% sure about this, but you think it may have been that may have been more of a parlor trick. You're not specifically aware of any like specific spell or like innate ability that would make that happen. So it may have just been something like that you think he may have been doing to like just as a warning, as a hey, look, don't mess with me kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily like, like he was about to cast a spell or anything like that.
Kind of a bit of minor illusion before the show starts.
I mean, yeah, you're not certain if it was a minor illusion or if it was like an actual like sort of ability that he had honed over time, whatever. But you don't think that like what he was doing, like in and of itself, was specifically like dangerous or it was just more of like a cat raising its fur to like look bigger.
Yes, Bjorn, unfortunately, when people have magic, they sometimes have the ability to become defensive. That's generally not a good sign.
Well, he no pay us for job. He what you have told me is illegal. We go get guard.
No.
Let's just leave this be and get this girl over to Tessera.
Well, just as a heads up to everyone, I do have Terrence Vaughn in my notes as my fucking mortal enemy right now.
Which is funny because there's a few things that could have happened that didn't, that could have made him your mortal enemy. So,
Yeah. Oh, he still is, just from that fucking stare
well,
down.
I meant from the other way around. Like he could have been, you could have been his.
I mean, I
Alright,
did
then,
try
yeah,
and steal that ring.
All right, so those investigation checks were find her.
Correct,
16,
yeah.
14, 21. Yeah, so it's pretty easy. The Ornheim is not particularly large. It probably takes to maybe 20, 25 minutes to locate her. And
Yeah,
she's buying some supplies.
Lena will just be like, "Oh, Aaron, it's nice to see you again. We finished our job here, and now we are heading back to Tessera. Isn't that grand?
And she's like, I guess.
Would you like to come with us?
Why?
Oh, travel companionship is always good, and I admit, oh, we're not the most adventurous bunch, unfortunately.
We can pay to have you bring us.
Oh, all right. I guess.
Perfect.
I'll pull out 10 gold and hand it to her. And say,
Okay.
you get more of when we arrive, yes?
Sure.
Thank you so much, Aaron. My name is Lena, by the way.
Nice to meet you. Although I assume you probably all told her.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So did you guys want to do anything else, like pick up supplies yourselves, or?
Bjorn wants to pick up another bottle of liquor. And I know I have the stuff to like camp and stuff like that. Is there anything I could pick up that would like allow me to like a spit roast or anything, so if I like caught an animal I could cook it better? Or would that just be something I would make out there?
You could probably, if you wanted to go to like a blacksmith, essentially, and get like what would basically just be like a small, sharp piece of metal that you could then use to, I guess you could have like, it depends on how elaborate you wanted to do. You could go to a blacksmith and get the whole thing built out of metal, or you could just basically have them craft you a rod with a handle on it, so that you could then take a couple of sticks and then put the animal on there,
Twist it around.
and then just like turn the.
Okay. All right. Yeah, just the basic, just like the rod. I could use wood to prop it up or whatever like that.
I would probably get that for about a gold.
He'll just say, very tired of eating food without being cooked proper.
Yeah, so I'll pick up some travel supplies. Some spices, rations, stuff like that.
All that stuff together too probably would be about a gold.
That's perfect.
It's always hard to like value these things because like, so I swear some of the stuff is like all over the board when you like. Like, an abacus is 2 gold. Why? Why?
Mhm.
Because
And a bucket is 5 copper. All right. Anyway, is there anything else you want to get?
Can I stop into the lady's house with that did the healing? The doctor? I'll just like when I get there, knock on the door.
And she opens it up, and you can see that there are. It's not. It's not necessarily like a shop, but you can see that she does have a few things that she has for sale. But then she also has. There are people in there. See her.
As I see the people's house, I say, I do not mean to take much time. I am going on road, wondering if you can spare some herbs or something for healing, and I'll point at my leg and just say, these tends to happen a lot.
And she says, "Just a moment," and she goes and grabs a few um, herbs and poultices and stuff, and hands it to you. She just tells you to take it. She doesn't charge you anything for it.
And I just crush up and put on wound.
That should do it, and then just wrap it. Like, she shows you, like, you just take like the herbs and like press it against the wound, and then just like take like cloth and wrap it around so that the herbs are pressed against the wound.
Kind of like nod my head down a little bit. I saw you help other men in tavern, and figure if I go on the road, you are a good person to have asked for this question.
I suppose.
Thank you very much. I will get out of your way.
And tells you have a good day and goes back to her patients.
I'll go up to Lena, and she's one of the people with the medicine kits, and say, I think this is more medicine.
Oh, thank you. And she takes it.
She say, put on wound and wrap.
Oh, yep. You got plenty of bandages, so yeah, this will help things. Thank you.
What is this place, Tessera, that we are going to?
Oh, it's actually the main capital of this land.
You see Bjorn's face get a little green, and he goes, big city.
Yes, yeah, it's quite a big city.
well, if it makes you feel any better, it's probably a place where, if people find out I read novels, I'll probably be executed.
He kind of just looks and goes, I think I passed city on my way up here when I originally come. Never been inside something so big.
Well, I suppose we can just keep a low profile and everything will be fine.
He kind of looks over himself in furs and like a loincloth and shit. And goes, I try, yes.
And she sort of looks over at you, Sorn, and is like, I wouldn't take any magical items in there.
I do not plan to.
I'll look
Right.
to her. I'll say, you have been to a capital before.
I've only been into the first part.
Will I be able to, as she say, blend in?
If you don't plan on going into the central ward, you probably would be fine.
Okay.
I've never been there myself, so it'll be quite interesting.
You can tell she's a little bit wary. Like, she doesn't seem like super excited to be going, but
Yeah, she's not the only one.
I'll kind of just say it as a beside the point to everyone and say, when we get there, we go to Southward. Yes.
Yes, southward.
Will I be okay there?
That's probably the best place you could be.
You'll see a little bit of relief on his face. Yes, well, it should be good then.
Well, should we hire out transport or should we head off on foot?
Is there like a stable in this town?
There is, yeah. I mean, it's not an active stable. It's more a holding stable where people will come in to have the blacksmith reshoe their horses. They don't really have a whole lot of like horses that you would be able to like buy or rent.
Okay.
Is there a caravan heading to the capital?
There generally is groups that head to the capital on a fairly regular basis.
Is there one today?
Sure.
I would probably try and ask if we could accompany them. Better to travel in pack.
Yeah, I mean, even a caravan's going to not go a whole lot faster than a just walking on foot. So it would take you. It's about 140 miles, so it would probably take you about a week to get there. A little less, depending on how. I mean, if you're traveling with a caravan, it would probably be about a week. If you were going on your own, you could probably get there a little bit faster because they're probably only going to travel for around 8 hours or so per day. Whereas if you wanted to go, 12, you get there a bit faster.
I'll tell Aaron what we saw, like what the bandits had done to the people on our way there. Like, not on our way there. I'll like just say we saw it on the road on our way down, and just say, do you think it'd be better to go with group, or do you think we can handle ourselves?
There shouldn't be any bandits on this road. This is about as busy a road as you can get.
And perhaps we just go ourselves.
Yeah, might as well get there a bit faster.
It would probably take you around 5 days or so if you traveled on your own and went, roughly 12 hours a day.
That works for me.
Yep, that's fine.
All right. So the trip there, again, it's pretty uneventful. It's pretty boring. This is a major trade route, so you see lots of people going back and forth. And you see there are, some villages and stuff along the way that you can stop and rest at and get some food if you choose to. So you don't have to hoof it the whole way and sleep by a campfire or anything like that. You can do that if you choose to off the side of the road, but there are enough spaces or enough places along the route that you can stop. Usually there are small little hamlets that are even smaller than Ornkaima and have, just like a small inn. But yeah, there's nothing like particularly exciting to catch your attention along the way. As you approach Tesra, you can see it is larger than any city that any of you have seen on the surface, at least. It has essentially 3 outer walls. So and they create a U around the mountain essentially. So like there's the outer wall, but each end goes all the way back up against the mountains. And then inside of that wall, there's another wall, and then inside of that wall is the center ward where the royalty is. So even as you're going up, you can see it's kind of like if you I made mention of it in Discord, is it's similar to Attack on Titan, if you've seen that how they have like the inner walls that go out, but then also think a little bit of like Minas Tirith from the Lord of the Rings, where the central ward, at least in particular, is set back into and up on the mountain, so you can see these very beautiful elven architecture, these large towers that um, are seen from miles and miles away. Um, you don't see quite as many large buildings lower down in the other. You see a few towers that stick up above the walls. Um, the walls themselves are relatively high, so it's not like uh, the buildings are all small. You just can't really see them from where you're going. As you approach, the directions that you are given is that the southern ward is essentially in the second ring. So the first ring is the largest. So it includes mostly farmland. The idea being that Tessera, during times of war, um, is basically you cannot put it under siege because it can be self-sustainable on its own. It doesn't need outside farming. It doesn't need anything from anywhere because it's all there. There are roughly about 1 million people who live within Tessera and all its different um, rings, essentially. So the first is mostly farmland, but there's I mean, it's where all the farmers and stuff live. There are inns, there is shopping to be done, but it's all much more low end stuff. The second ring, where the south ward is the more suburban areas. So it has a lot of offices. It has a lot of like what would be apartment buildings. So there's places that people live, but it's multiple stories. And it's a lot. It's where the majority of the commerce is done. So not just your mom and pop shops, but like actual like companies that do a lot of business, and these would be the groups that, though not a lot of it, they would have contracts with places elsewhere in the world, but mostly within the different cities. So Baranor, Ferndale. Ferndale, by the way, you can see right there. Actually, I'm on the wrong thing. Right there. That is actually where Kalen was going to be from, and it is unofficially the human capital. It is the largest city that contains a majority human population. So they're given their proximity, they are a pretty big trade partner with Tessera. They are mainly Ferndale is mainly known for their textiles. That's sort of their main export to the rest of the island.
Just as a heads up, I'm still on the battle map, so I don't know where you're pointing to.
Yeah,
All
same.
right. Sorry. Let's try that.
Oh, okay.
So this is what I was talking about, Ferndale over here. Other than that, you weren't seeing it. I wasn't pointing to anything, so didn't miss anything. But that's the closest trade partner to Tessera is Ferndale, and they are the largest textile producer, and they are mostly humans. So as far as getting into Tessera itself, getting into the center, or the first ring, is pretty easy. There is a lot of traffic in and out. It's not Tessera's not, with the exception of the central ward where the Empress / Queen is. It's pretty easy to go in and out. I mean, this is an empire, and they rule over the entirety of this island, so they're not like afraid of these aren't warring states, so it's not like Ferndale's going to attack Tessera, so it's not like they're on high alert as far as we got to make sure that we check everybody when they come in. They feel like they've done a pretty good job of stamping out the things that they don't want, and let people move around pretty freely. Getting into the central ward is a whole nother story, but you're not trying to go there. So, as you go in, it takes quite a while. I mean, they're like the first ring where all the farming and stuff is. I mean, like it's big, like it's miles and miles. So it takes a while to like get even to the second wall. Eventually you do, and again you get there. The gates are open, but you can see it like it's almost immediate. Like so, it's like as soon as you hit that wall, it's like you start to see multi-story houses. You can see like like what appears to be a sort of industry. You see like smoke, and it starts to get a lot louder. You start to hear like machines making noises, and it's going through the first part is quite peaceful. You see waves of grain and that kind of stuff. And then it's just it's a sharp immediate, you hit that wall and it's just like a whole different world. But in addition, as you get closer, you are still getting closer to the central ward, and you're seeing how amazing the architecture is and how beautiful this is. And I mean, it's just like in many things, it's as far as the elves are concerned, it was made for beauty over function in a lot of cases. I'm talking about the central ward that you can see and not the where you are now. But in the distance, I mean, it's overly dramatic. It's overly done, just to make it look beautiful. Where you are right now, however, much less beautiful. So as you enter into the second wall, you do need to essentially turn left, and start heading south towards the south ward. And as you're walking through the city, you see that this is where it really does start to feel like a city. The first part didn't really seem much like one at all. In fact, if you hadn't seen the walls as you passed through, you would have just thought you were pretty much passing through, the countryside. But here you get the smells of the city, you get the sounds of the city, and as you're going to the south, you notice that it starts to get less and less nice as you progress southward, and eventually you get to the general direction that that Terrence was talking about, and you do see a number of buildings that look like they're slightly dilapidated. And what triggers you to think, oh, okay, maybe this is the right place, is that you see this large building that is dark. It appears that at one point it may have been painted black, but it has the paint has started to fade and sort of flake off, leaving the underneath sort of brick and wood exposed. But you see a couple of guys that you can't hear what they're saying just yet, but you see that they are sort of like, you can see them talking to people as they walk by. Most people seem to be ignoring them, but there are two men standing on either side of the door to this place. One of them appears to be a rather lanky, but not like not weak or anything like that, but sort of thin. He's wearing a sort of old looking leather armor, and you can see that he's got way too many knives, like daggers, stuff all over it, just like, and like to the point that it's overkill. There's no reason for anybody to be carrying around that many daggers. So it almost looks comical to people who know how to fight. But he is appears to be an half elf or elf. You're not entirely sure, but based on his ears, he does appear to be an elf of some type. Sort of olive colored skin, dark hair. And he appears to be the one that's doing most of the talking. Next to him on the other side of the door appears to be I guess you would say humanoid. He looks human, the best you could tell as far as like the ears are concerned. but you would gather he has some type of giant blood in him, whether, Goliath or what have you. But the man is probably about 8 feet tall, and he's not muscular, but he's big. Quite a rotund man. So you can imagine an 8-foot man that weighs like, 450, 500 pounds. That's not entirely muscle. And again, the big man is just sort of like looking at everybody, kind of like a dumb look on his face, where the other guy appears to be chatting to people and being ignored by most of them, which also appears to annoy him.
Real quick before we get to them, can we say one night when we were traveling, when this girl was asleep, I pulled the other two off to the side for real quick?
Sure.
I'll just look at them and say, do we wish to tell her once we get there that we are bringing her to see someone, or do we just try to make it a random occurrence?
Well, as it stands, she doesn't believe us as it is. So we could continue to try and play along with the lie she doesn't believe, or we could tell her what's happening.
I feel like the lie might be better at this point.
So we walk in, we say, oh, hey, here is man we were bringing you to, haha, joke.
Or we
do
say
just
we're
bring...
visiting the man and ask her to come with us.
But then she know we lie as soon as she gets taken by man or whatever happened.
Yes. At that point, I guess Mr. Grayson can just tell her what he wants to tell.
We speak to him first, make sure he no hurt her, and then if that's the case, we go through with it.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
And I also totally, just now looking at my notes, realize I forgot to tell you this because I'm an idiot. But Terrence gave you a letter as well to like introduce yourselves to Mr. Grayson. So you just have to show up and be like, hey, hi. Like he gave you like essentially a letter of introduction. I just forgot to mention that because I put it on my notes.
And told us to look for the two assholes out front.
Yes.
All right. I'll try to get Lena and Soren's attention and like just nod towards them and say, two morons that we were told of?
Oh, yes. And I guess we'll just say she's got the letter and she goes out to them and it's like, we're here to meet Mr. Grayson. And she holds out the letter.
And the elven man just sort of like, he looks you up and down in a very lewd way, I guess. And he sort of just smirks. And he introduces himself and says, my name is Marvin. This is Errol, my associate. And he just keeps looking at you and he's like, don't think you're getting in here today.
And why is that? I'm very certain that he'll want to meet us.
And he's looking at all of you now. He's like, well, it's our job. Keep the riffraff out. And he looks at Soren and Lena, and he's like, and I'll call you Riff, and I'll call you Raff. And he looks over at the big guy. He's like, oh, Errol, what you think they called this big boy then, eh? And Errol, the big dumb guy, looks at Bjorn and goes, Steven. Marvin sort of like, oh, for fuck's sake, Errol. All right, Riff, Raff, and Steven not getting in here today, so fuck off.
Lena, may I?
You guys see Bjorn start shaking and like reaching for his maul.
So you two must be the assholes that Terrence mentioned.
You see, when you mention Terrence's name, he kind of wrinkles his nose a little bit.
As he is the one who sent us with that letter to speak with Mr. Grayson. So clearly you do not wish to be forever known as incompetent arseholes, would you?
Yes, I'm sure he will be quite upset if you don't let us inside.
And Bjorn's gonna just look at the little one and say, "And I believe your boss only needs one doorman." And he's just gonna like have his hand on his weapon.
Lena puts her hand on his arm, just try to calm him down.
And he doesn't flinch or anything. And you can see that like when you went for your weapon, he reached to his belt for a dagger. He didn't pull it out, but he put his hand on the handle. And Errol sort of took a step forward as well. And he looks over at you, Soren. He's like, "We've been called worse."
That may be the case, but we are here on business on behalf of Terence, and that business is with Mr. Grayson. So if you would please allow us entrance.
He holds his hand out like he's asking for to see the letter.
We've already handed him the letter.
No. He hands it to Errol, and Errol opens it up and starts reading it. Hands it back to Marvin, nods at him, and Errol takes the letter and like presses it up against your chest, Bjorn, and then sort of just steps to the side.
Thank you very much. And Lena steps in, dragging or attempting to drag Bjorn with him.
He just put the letter back into my chest. He didn't like push me or anything.
No, he just like pressed it up against it. Instead of handing it to you, he just like pressed it up against your chest and then made a grand gesture to like, move out of the way.
Bjorn will just walk in behind Lena, trying to be as low key as possible.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So as you walk in, they close the doors behind you, and you can see that there are there's like a registry essentially on the walls as soon as you walk in that sort of like describes the different offices on each floor. And you see on the 5th floor that it says Grayson LLC on it. And you can see that inside is actually like more grungy than it was on the outside. You even like see like a little rat run across the floor. But in the distance, you see that there's the staircase leading up. So you take that to the 5th floor. Once you get to the 5th floor, it's sort of a narrow hallway, and there are 5 doors along the hall. And at the end of that hallway, there is a door with like a window in it. The window, of course, being so dirty that you can't like see anything through it. From what you can tell, like the other doors, like there doesn't appear to be anybody inhabiting them. Like one of the doors is broken completely. One of the doors is open, and as you sort of look in, it looks like there's nothing in there. But the door at the end of the hallway does have a little sign next to it that also says Grayson on it.
Lena will knock on the door.
All right. And it probably takes about 30 seconds or so. And then a young girl actually opens up the door. And she just sort of looks at all of you and says, "Come in, please. Have a seat."
Thank you.
And she motions you all into the room. And as you do that, she climbs into this sort of like oversized leather chair and motions for you guys to sit in these other chairs that are in front of this. So she gets into this big leather chair that's behind a desk, and then there is chairs out in front of the desk that she sort of like motions for you all to sit in. And even before you sit down, she's like, "How can I help you?"
Yes. So we were sent here by Terrence. We may have done a little bit of a goof with a certain red-haired girl.
And as you're sort of explaining that, there's a behind the desk, there's a green curtain. Like essentially there's no door. There's just a curtain where a door should be. And it gets pulled to the side, and you see a what appears to be a tiefling, which is pretty rare for any of you to have seen. And he's dressed very eccentrically, like the way I like in my head when I look with this character, I'm thinking like if you think of like Jeff Goldblum as a tiefling, this is what you're seeing for this guy. He's very odd, I guess would be to say, and you can even just looking at him, you can kind of get that he's a strange character. And when he opens up the curtain and says, I apologize for my daughter. She can be a bit precocious at times. I am Mr. Grayson, and this is Victoria, my daughter. How can I help you? And you notice as you're sort of like sitting down that unlike the rest of the building, the room itself that you're in is like super nice. It's very clean. It's very well decorated. It's like 30 by 30. So it's a pretty big room. And there are bookshelves that line the walls. And then there's that, the back wall has like where there's this large green curtain that he came from behind. The desk itself is like really, really ornate. And you can see that it has, on the outside of the desk, it's got like appear to be dragons that are rising up, like that's what the legs are. And then behind the desk there is you see the same symbol that you saw on the necklace and on the gold bar, where it's a raven with scythes behind it. And he sits down as he asks how we can help you.
Yes, we've got a letter from Terrence, and she looks at Bjorn.
Bjorn is kind of just staring at his horns.
And she reaches over, takes the letter from Bjorn, and then hands it to Mr. Grayson.
Okay. So a little bit more description of him. He does have like your stereotypical sort of like jewelry adorning his horns. His skin would be probably described more of like the original way that tieflings were designed, and that it's got a red tint to them. He looks more devilish than your stereotypical devilish look, which is what tieflings were originally supposed to be, until they were like, oh god, no, they're a sweetheart, they're a sweet. Now I'm pink and I'm whatever. But he's more of your original design of what a tiefling would look like, in that they are supposed to be devils, basically. But he doesn't look menacing necessarily. He's just his mannerisms and his sort of like the way that he presents himself is a bit weird, is the best way to describe it. Like I said, I mean, I was just thinking of Jeff Goldblum, just kind of odd and says things that are a little off. But he goes through and he reads the letter, and you see that he's wearing this very nice like silk robe that's sort of a gray color. And he pulls out from one of the sleeves this little green leather notebook, and as he's reading the letter, he starts making little notes. And you can see as well that that symbol with the raven on it is also embossed on this little book that he's writing on. And he doesn't he's not doing this for a particularly long time, just about a minute or so, making notes, and then he puts the book back into his sleeve, and he goes into his drawer and he pulls out a little pouch and hands it over to you, and just sort of nods and says, "Payment for this delivery."
Oh, thank you.
And then as
Where
he's
is
doing,
Erin during this time?
she's sort of just standing in the back. She didn't. She's kind of still standing by the door.
Bjorn's going
Didn't
to kind of look at him and say, "You, what is your intention with the delivery?"
And he looks over to Aaron and says, "Victoria, if you could, please offer Aaron some refreshments." And Aaron kind of hesitates a little bit, but Victoria's a cute little girl, and so they sort of like head off and to the back, out of earshot, basically.
Wait, does she have horns too? Is she also
the-
like full tiefling?
Yeah, the Victoria does. Yeah,
Okay.
I should have mentioned that when I introduced
Well,
her.
I just thought of it right now because I only thought I saw his at first.
Yeah. So they go back behind the green curtain there, and he says, "Before we get to that, please," and he pulls out this like ledger and he starts like taking off little pieces of paper, and he asks you all to sign it. It's basically he's giving you a receipt for the money, essentially. Not like not saying like here's a receipt for delivering this person to me. It's just the receipt for essentially bookkeeping to say, hey, here's money that was given to you. Please acknowledge that you got this money. So he's like asking you all to sign these little receipts.
Is
Bjorn.
it, before we sign anything, is there writing on these receipts?
Lena's already signed it.
Yeah, I mean, like it is legitimate. I mean, it looks like a legitimate receipt. I mean, it specifically states like for receipt of, and what it is, he gave you 10 of the Tesra moons. So it's basically just saying acknowledgement of receipt of 10 Testran moons. So it doesn't like it doesn't mention anything like sinister or anything. It like literally is just like him bookkeeping for the money that he just gave out.
Well, just to make sure, I'm going to cast Detect Magic as a spell, not a ritual.
Okay.
So just an immediate. Are these magic?
No.
Or anything else within, what was it,
30.
30 feet?
Yeah, the room is 30 by 30. You don't notice anything glowing in particular.
And could I just double check personally just to see if this contract or receipt is on the up and up? Just to double check.
So, first of all, do a sleight of hand check because that's verbal and somatic, which means you had to say it and do a hand motion to cast the spell. All right. So yeah, you're able to do that. And you can do I suppose do an intelligence check to see if you think that these
Yeah, it looks legit.
yeah,
Bjorn kind of just sits there staring at him and says, "I do not know what this means."
Oh, that's just a thing that says, yes, we received money, so that he can keep the records good in his books.
Okay, yes, we receive money.
Yes, so you just put your name right there.
I do not know how to write.
and it says an X is fine.
I'll just grab a writing utensil, kind of like I would hold like a dagger or a sword, and just like scribble on it.
And he just nods and sort of smiles and picks them up, and he hands you all essentially like a copy of the receipt as well for you to keep.
Oh, thank you.
Bjorn looks extremely confused and shoves it in a random pouch.
Let's see. So we won't necessarily go into it because it's getting a little bit later, and I mean, we all were there, so we don't really need to role play it. But he, no, it was 10 total.
Okay, so I'm just putting it in the loop.
Yeah. But he just asks you to sort of go over what happened. You know, what is it that happened with Aaron? And after you're done sort of recounting the story, he pulls out the notebook again and makes some more notes.
We're
And
all
he-
sitting in chairs in front of his desk, right?
Yes.
That second time he pulls out the notebook and starts writing, I'm going to try to lean towards Lena and say, "This man is devil. We trust him."
No, yes, yes. Not actually devil, it's just it's a race.
He and Bjorn just kind of shuts his mouth and goes along with it.
So, in addition to the hearing your side of the story, he answers your question, Sorn. Basically, what he needs to do at this point, because this didn't go exactly how they originally planned. He's going to make sure that she gets proper training, and as he's in the middle of the story, Victoria and Aaron sort of emerge at having gotten their drinks and everything, and he tells Victoria to deliver a message. And he's not talking to you, but he's not trying to hide anything from you either. So he tells Victoria to go and to send a message to their friends over on Clover Street. And he hands over this small note to Victoria. And he also offers you guys coffee and tea or beer or snacks or anything that you might want.
As he's handing off the note and stuff, after he said about the training, he goes, "What if she does not wish this training?"
She's free to do whatever she chooses.
Bjorn just looks at me and says, very new to this. I just wanted to make sure it was, you look very scary."
And he sort of just smiles, but it because he looks scary and you don't this is new for you. He smiles in a genuine way, but it looks terrifying.
Yeah. Kind of like lean back in my seat a bit, and I do not mean disrespect. I just wanted to make sure a girl was in no harm.
I assure you that's the last thing that we want. I'm simply trying to help fulfill this prophecy. I believe she will do great things in this world. And he goes on to explain a little bit about himself. Mr. Grayson is an appraiser. He is a historian, and he's able to fill in a lot of gaps as far as the history of Valinor, where, as I'd mentioned, like outside of the game, that history is written by the victors, and Miss Grayson has a particular interest in finding out things the way that they really happened versus the way that we've been told that they happened. In addition, he he tells you, I'm very pleased with how you handled this, and I would be very happy to work with you in the future. And he alludes to the fact, in the slyest way that he possibly can, that he's also willing to act as a bit of a fence if the need arises where you need to unload, things that you can't just go to a shop and sell, whether that be maybe magical items or things of that nature. Again, it's subtle. I'm just going to give you guys the benefit and say that you Bjorn maybe not, but Soren in particular, you pick up what he's putting down. He tells you that uh, the story of these events is very interesting to me. And what other plans might you have? Are there any other areas of expertise that you might excel in, or do you have any other ties or affiliations with people that might come into play? And
No,
Bjorn
I
just kind
don't.
of. Oh, God.
I'm just traveling around doing odd jobs.
I come from mountains very close to Badlands. I have tribe back there, but I'm no longer with them.
and and then he sort of looks to you, Zorn, like
Well,
expectantly.
yeah, someone will remove the hood to show that he's actually a drow. I am, shall we say, on sabbatical. I'd like to know personally more about this not quite full history of this land above and why magic is so detested.
Well, it's not entirely clear at this point how exactly it all came about, but if you believe the story that we're all being told now, that the Sun Elves decided to attack the rest of the continent and tried to take control, and the use of magic was a large part of that. And well, the elves that are in charge now believed that by outlawing the magic that they could stop something like that from happening again. And he explains that like the elves now would be the descendants of what were called the Moon Elves. They don't call themselves the Moon Elves at this point. As far as Valinor is concerned, and as far as the Asharan Empire is concerned, or Ashran, I guess is how I should pronounce it. There are just elves. Like they prefer not to separate themselves the way that they want. So sun elves, moon elves, wood elves, they don't like to separate it out. Like as far as they're concerned, they're elves.
Do they still separate out the drow?
They do, but that's only because the drow don't participate in their.
Okay.
As far as like if there was a drow on the surface and they, didn't, specifically go out of their way to be drowish, I guess, and like take slaves and those types of things, then they could be at the very least accepted into the rest of the society and considered an elf. The true drow, like half drow, would have a much easier time. The true drow that like have the dark skin and the white hair, it would be very, very difficult. They would have to probably do something like pretty big to prove themselves. They're not just going to come up to the surface and be like, oh yeah, hey, come hang out with us. But like from and Mr. Grayson sort of explains it as well, is that it's less about the Empire shunning the drow and more so the drow saying, screw you guys, we don't care about any of this and we're not going to participate in any of it. So it's not that the Empire's like, oh, we want to destroy the drow. It's just that the drow are like out of sight, out of mind for the most part.
Gotcha.
But that's why it goes on to explain that is also why the city of Tessera is built the way that it is. It is designed to stop any traditional army, and then their idea of like, well, we'll make sure that there's no magic. So to their mind, they've set themselves up to be basically unbeatable because a regular army can't stop us, and if there's no magic around, you can't stop us either. Now, one of the other things that Mr. Grayson sort of goes into that he finds particularly interesting is that many elves just inherently do have at least some magical talent or ability inherently within their blood, but they pretend that they don't, which he finds utterly fascinating. The Fey ancestry offers, magical ability in many cases, and they just pretend that it doesn't. Which he just thinks is one that's like, as a historian, he finds particularly interesting. But in addition to sort of like, going into a little bit of the history of these things, he does also ask if any of you are interested in taking on semi-regular work, and that he states that he can offer paying work in most areas within Valinar. He has a network of people, so you wouldn't specifically have to come and see him directly. And his hope is that he can, even expand his operations further outside of Valinar onto the rest of the world, I guess is what we'll call. And that and again reiterates that if they do accept that offer, he is willing to be a point of contact. He can be a fence. He can be a benefactor. He can be a go-between for certain unsavory as well as more high-end people.
Where did you say his symbol was? Was it like on a chain?
The symbol that there's actually a symbol behind him, like it's on the wall behind his desk.
Bjorn's going to point at it and say, we saw a symbol like this on jewelry for one of Terran's friends who died. What does symbol mean?
And he does that smile that's disturbing again, but he says, I suppose the best way to describe it would be a family crest. And the symbol itself, like, it also is not designed in any particularly like sinister way. Like, is basically just like the silhouette of like a raven with scythes. I mean, scythes can be considered sinister given the Grim Reaper, but they can also just be farm tools. So you don't.
I was just seeing if he slipped up with any sort of god talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he says that he may even be able to arrange a residence for you if that was something that you're interested in. But he also makes it very clear that this is not this is not a take it or leave it sort of thing. He's like, hey, this is just an offer. If you guys want it, take it. If not, no big deal. Like, I'm not going to be angry, and we're not, there's not going to be any like, this is not a offer you can't refuse type of Godfather thing.
I'll look at the other two and I'll just say, I have no home, so I do not mind. You two closest things I have to family right now, so if this is what you want, I can do.
I don't mind it. It seems like a pretty good deal on our part. Just doing odd jobs for money and some extra help now and again. I myself also don't really have a home anymore, so
I agree. The offer is not too bad. Hopefully, if we, it seems like we are accepting the offer, that we may be able to find some more information that I'm looking for if we travel around. But for now, we does seem we can have a fruitful working relationship.
And he just sort of does the smile again, and this is wonderful. For now, until I can find something maybe a little bit more suitable, uh, you are all welcome to stay in the rooms outside. And um, there are there were those 5 rooms that were in the hallway there. 2 of the rooms you saw, one was empty, and the other one, like, the door was all busted open. But the other 3 are actually very, very nice. Not quite as nice as the room that you're in at the moment, but he offers you guys to stay there, or you can stay there without, you don't have to pay him or anything. Um, while you're working on jobs for him, you can stay there. And he does make mention that he will see about trying to find something, like a house or something that you guys could, like, use as a more private sort of base of operations.
Bjorn's gonna look at him and say, "You will make sure man out front knows, so I know have to break him before we come in next time."
He chuckles and then sighs a little bit, and he said, "I don't know why I paid them."
I can take care of it for you.
Well, Errol's an okay guy, and
He big one?
yeah.
He follow lead of little one. He's the loud one.
He kind of just sighs again, but kind of like waves it off. But he said, Erin will still be here for a while. She will be tutored and trained by some friends of ours, and the result of the prophecy should be the same, but it might take a bit longer path to get there than we were hoping. But you can check in on her from time to time.
As he's talking about this, can I look at her and see how she's taking all this in?
Yeah, you can do an insight check.
So I do not mean to pry, but clearly you are talking about training her in the magical arts, correct?
And he pauses for a little bit, and well, that'd be a portion of her training, I suppose, but that's not the only thing that she'll be learning.
So there are forms of magic even here in the capital.
And he kind of like he has a little bit of a goatee, and he sort of like stroking his goatee a little bit, and it says he does the smile, and then he just goes, "No."
I look at Soren. I'm like, I thought we say this book or novel. What? And he looks extremely confused.
And as this conversation is having too, like, Victoria has returned from her message delivery to Clover Street.
Yes, clearly we are talking about how some people are very good with novels, aren't we?
And then he sort of like looks around the room, and like I said, the walls are lined with books and bookshelves. So he sort of just sort of looks around the room at all the books, and then just kind of like gives you a little wink.
See, there's no need to be confused about it, Bjorn.
Very confused, but I understand. Yes, and he's completely lying. You don't need to incite him.
If you don't mind me asking, could I also go to where will be receiving some of this training to maybe see what's happening?
And we might be able to arrange that, but it'll take a few days to get everything prepared.
That's
Um,
perfectly fine.
I was also wondering if you know a good place to purchase bullets for a pistol.
And he kind of gets an even bigger smile, and his eyes get a little big. He's like, kind of like thinking, can probably arrange that for you.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I admit I'm not terribly good with my pistol yet, but I'll get there eventually, hopefully, soon.
Bjorn kind of like looks at it and like twists his nose up at it like it smells or something. He does not have fond memories.
And it probably doesn't need to be explained. Bjorn maybe again isn't 100% sure of this, but Soren and Lena, I mean, to you guys, as soon as you saw him being a tiefling, you recognize that, his name isn't actually, Mr. Grayson. Like that's not his name. Like Grayson wouldn't be his name either.
It's
just
basically just a moniker.
Well, and like tieflings, the default tieflings do tend to take like a name that like a human name, but even this, like just going by Mr. is not really like Mr. Grayson is not a
And the one last thing that Bjorn wants to do, he wants to turn around and look at Aaron and he says, "Is this something you wish to do?"
And she kind of meekly, like, it's not that she's like, she doesn't seem to be like upset or anything, but she just kind of nods, like she feels a bit like she doesn't like the attention essentially that's being paid to her. Like all this talk of her being something important and special and receiving training and stuff, and like she's never had anything like that, so she kind of nods like, yes, I do want this, but also really uncomfortable with the fact that everybody's paying this much attention to her. Was there anything else that you wanted to ask him?
Well, real quick, do we know? I mean, I know we have potions. Do we know that they're healing potions?
I don't think technically that you do.
Yeah. Can I, whoever's carrying them, I don't know if it's Soren or Lena, I'll just say,
Lena has them.
The glasses, maybe he will know what is.
Oh, yes. And she pulls out the potions.
And he takes them and just holds them up to the light a little bit and opens up the bottle and kind of sniffs it a little bit, and he tells you that that's what they are, that they're healing potions.
Oh, that's handy.
And he sort of like looks at you and he doesn't ask you where. He even specifically says, "I won't ask you where you got these, but these are pretty rare."
Oh, we found. Where did we find the first one again? Was it in that necromancy temple?
Yes, in temple near Ornkaima.
Yes, and then we found the second one just recently. On the was it on the body of your dead workers, I suppose?
Terrence group who was killed by bandit.
Yes.
And then he's sort of like, "Oh, well, that makes sense then." And so just was there anything else before he continues? Anything else that you wanted to ask him?
Bjorn is going to kind of just look at him. It'll be real quick. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure. So.
And say, you have friends all over continent?
I do.
Have you heard anything recent of roaming tribes in south of mountains?
We hear things all the time. Mostly I've heard of, well, not good things, I must say. There's been talk of giants coming down from the mountains.
Not my tribe. My old tribe have new leader who I fear will lead recklessly, and just worried for the towns near the south.
And he sort of like smirks a little bit. Well, maybe the giants will stop them. And you kind of got that like you sort of get that he does have a little bit of a, I don't want to say a mean streak, but he knows that it was kind of an insensitive thing to say, that like, oh yeah, maybe the giants will kill all your people.
Oh no, Bjorn absolutely reacted perfectly to it. Like probably had a bit of a smile on his face.
Oh, okay. Well, the intention of his, he wouldn't have known that. So,
Yeah.
But he does tell you actually. It's a good segue actually that he mentions that he has heard word of a town actually quite near Tessera in the mountains. So if you guys are looking at the map, it's not marked on here, but roughly like right around here or so, so just south of Tessera in the mountains, there's a town called Skytop. The town itself is it's pretty small, but essentially the best way I guess to describe it would be a artisans town. Um, Essentially, it's due to where it's located. It's just far enough away from Tessera to sort of avoid all of the hustle and bustle. But it sort of became a refuge for skilled artisans. So they don't get a lot of business there. So the town itself is not rich or anything like that, and the people themselves are generally not rich. Um, but the wealthy upper class from Tessera does tend to go to these people to have things made for them because these are very skilled people. These are the type of artisans that do it for the sake of the art. So you're not like there are blacksmiths and things there, but they're not going to craft you a hammer and some nails. Like they're going to craft you some beautiful, ornate, you know,
It's more style than function.
in cases like that, as far as like weaponry would be concerned. But they also have your textiles. So like there's tailors and
Okay.
there
Like
are
stoneworking and such.
yeah. So like making statues and things like that. So it's very high end sort of work that's being done there. But again, it can't be afforded by many people, so it's not frequented a lot, and it's not a rich town. But he lets you know that he has heard from people there that children have gone missing, um, and he would, if you would all be interested in going to check it out, that could be the first assignment that he has for you.
That seems fine by me.
It shouldn't take too long to get there, and he sort of like if you agree to do that, he takes out this small little map, and it's a map of the general area surrounding Tessera, showing sort of the smaller roads in and out of the mountains and things like that.
Uh, you know, how high of mountain is it? Is it close to ground or is it up a ways?
It's up pretty high. They call it Skytop for a reason.
It'll be like home. I think I can find.
And he just says that